Back again. Doing something different now. We're doing it at 8 o'clock. So I hope this wasn't a inconvenience for you guys. I felt like 6 o'clock was kind of pushing it. A lot of people get off at between 4 and 5, and they have their families they have to um tend to, as far as cooking, getting kids together, or just winding down themselves. So I figured if I pushed it to 8 o'clock, it would be better for everyone involved, including myself. But we have a good topic tonight. It is stated simply as a man's thoughts, but we're going to be talking about a couple of things that men deal with, go through, um, communicate with, and hopefully by the end of this, a couple of things will happen. I'm hoping that more men will feel more comfortable divulging what they're dealing with, or what they think about certain things. I'm hoping that women will get a better understanding on how we operate, why we do some of the things that we do, some of the thought processes with that. And before I tell you who's actually going to be getting into this with me, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't know how many of you guys get things from TikTok or Instagram or other social media platforms, but and normally I don't, but there's this guy that my sister had sent me. I can't remember now whether he's on TikTok or whether he was on Instagram, but he's a mixologist. And this joker had he had got a strawberry lemonade from Wendy's, and he mixes it with uh Douce. Let me tell you something. It's the truth. I've had Now those that on YouTube can see me do this right now. Y'all on Wisdom, y'all can just hear it maybe. But I've had two large glasses already, and I'm drinking on this one. It is so good. I mean, it's bloody amazing. Cloud have mercy. Um, but yeah. So what we're gonna be discussing tonight, like I said, is a man's thoughts, and who I'm gonna be discussing that with is a brother straight out of Florida, born and raised. I met this brother a little while ago, um, and he's very honorable, has a lot of integrity, just all around good dude. He goes by the name of Kevin Evans. He's a father, and he has a lot of great insight on a lot of stuff. I love speaking to him. We throw things back and forth off of each other as far as health goes. And so I asked him if he would come on and speak with me, or quote unquote be a guest on tonight's episode. So he's gonna be on, and we're gonna talk about some things. And as this normally goes, which those that come here every week, I want to thank you, and you know how it goes. When he comes up, we'll have an hour of dialogue, and if there's anyone that wants to come up and say anything, maybe has some input on something Kevin said, some things that I said, you're more than welcome to come on and speak your piece on that. But let me see if I can find my boy. Okay, I see him. Okay, Kev, come on up so we can get into this. I see you right there. And y'all share this talk too, especially to the men and women too. What am I talking about? Share it to everybody. because I think it's going to be good for everybody to hear. What's going on, brother, man?
Hey, yo, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I don't know if you heard, I was telling them about this new drink that has come across my table from this guy. It's Douce mixed with Wendy's, and it has to be from Wendy's. I found this out too. It can't just be any old strawberry lemonade. It has to be Wendy's strawberry lemonade.
I heard, man. Sound like I heard you saying it off the top.
Man, let me tell you, it's dangerously good. It's one of those drinks that's so good and it's not overly strong, so it kind of feels like you're just drinking strawberry lemonade. And then the next thing you know, you see purple unicorns walking across your darn floor and stuff like that.
Right. So but what was the mix? You know, you put a lot of the lemonade with a little bit of the Douce, or you kind of drink, poured it heavy?
Yeah, it's 3/4 strawberry lemonade and a fourth of Douce. But I mean, I guess you can make it stronger if you want to. Now, I made one last night, and that bad boy had my eye twitching. It was so strong. So I didn't go that strong tonight, but I can tell you this. I have a feeling that it's going to be an interesting show because I'm feeling great. I'll just say that. But
right.
if you wanna tell the people just a little bit about yourself.
No doubt. Like you said, man, my name is Kevin. Nickname Special K. I go by that from time to time. I'm from Florida, Palatka, Florida, to be exact. I'm a father of two, got a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old, both boys. I'm pretty active with it. My son, he's in baseball and band. My oldest boy is in baseball and band. Youngest boy is in flag football, and he's in drum lessons. And I'm married. Been married going on 9 years in June to make 9 years. So try to be a family man. You know, I try to be active with my wife, with my kids, and there you have it. Well, I'm 35 currently. I'll be 36 this year. And,
okay,
that's about it in a nutshell.
Well, congratulations to you, brother, and it's good. I didn't even know you had two sons. Now that makes it even better because a lot of the things that we'll be talking about tonight, I think will be good for the young males coming up to hear and impart in.
Right, definitely. And something I forgot to add, I actually work at a high school, and I'm kind of like the disciplinary there, and I deal with straight discipline, and these young men these days, man, they need us bad. It's like almost like we're failing. You can see from the outside in, but I see it every day. So it's definitely a good talk to have or whatever, and they need us at this time, man. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I had a conversation with my 11-year-old son today where he was since he was like, I guess 5, I was trying to really put into him about, taking care of his sisters, taking care of his mom, opening doors, things like that. But when it comes to his little sister, sometimes he gets a little, I guess, aggravated. Our siblings sometimes can aggravate us and stuff like that. So I have to stay on him about, you're supposed to be her protector. She shouldn't have to watch out for all these things in the world and watch out for her brother as well. So I commend you for the work that you do, because you're right. It does look like most times that we're failing our young men. You know what I mean? And with the amount of things that the women go through and the young girls go through, a lot of that stuff could be avoided or not as bad if we can start having this positive foundation with these young males. And a lot of the older ones I speak to too, but you know how that goes. A lot of those are so far gone to where they just stuck in their ways. So if we can continue to get at these young cats, I think it'll be for the betterment of everybody. But
and it's crazy. I mean to cut you off. It's crazy to say about the things that the women go through, because the majority of people, when I call parents, say a kid get in trouble, I call the parents and I present the parent with some options after I done chew the kid out. But 90% of the time, it's the mom answering the phone. It's the mom going through the stress. It's the mom saying either the dad isn't there in a good way, and what I mean by that is he's out trying to, make it provide, or they're not there because they're, the rest. They're not there. Yep. So, it's the mom does have to deal with a lot. These women do have to deal with a lot when it comes to, their kids and the way these young men are being brought up. Young ladies too, but primarily I have a lot of issues with the young men.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate, because from what I'm seeing a lot, it seems like a lot of the women, no matter, from late teens up until their 50s even, the amount of respect for women is at an all-time low from what I see. And I truly cannot understand the reasons why. I've spoke about it before, but at a later date, I'll go more in depth with that. But it's just, I can't understand where the lack of respect comes from. And a lot of these women, that I talk to, a lot of them are just straight out scared. They feel alone. They feel like there's nobody, looking out for them, nobody there to protect them. And so that's another reason I wanted to have this particular show. Like some of the questions that I'll be asking you, when we talk about them, it'll give just a little bit of insight on how we think, how we operate, some of the things that maybe has shaped and molded us. And though we're just two men out of a couple billion, there are similarities in men and women. So maybe, it might help some woman better understand her man. This might help some men better understand themselves. So we'll see what happens, but we're going to jump right into it while I light my cigar for the night. But first question I want to ask you is, what is the hardest part about being a man, in your opinion?
Let's see. In my opinion, I'm gonna answer that in both ways, not only for myself but for what I believe to be the general population. I would say overall the hardest thing about being a man is we're the ones that people look up to make things happen. If you got a family, lights get cut off, you ain't got no food, they looking at you. Or when we go out into this world, it's tough. It can be tough. You're looked at to provide. You're looked at to protect. No one's above you, especially when it comes to your household. So that can create, that can create some, man, how am I going to do this? That can create a lot of stress. But the way I look at it, and I'm not trying to, come off like a superhero, but I love it. I really do. Like, I really enjoy the fact that my family looks up to me to make sure things are okay. That I get a thrill in that. And when they are okay, I feel like, okay, I'm doing this. So I don't think it's really hard being a man. I really enjoy it, being a father, being a husband. But, overall, it can be tough at times when times are tough and everybody's looking at you. So I'll say that's probably the hardest part about being a man is you're it, tag you're it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that end.
And see, with that kind of goes into what I think as well is the hardest part. I feel like is that when you're really walking in your manhood, there's no off switch. So I used to have an issue with expressing myself and relaying my feelings and stuff like that. And the reason was because there was no off switch. I didn't feel like I had a moment to be just me or to be vulnerable or to, have a quote unquote sick day, because it's just like you said, you're the one that's looked at like, hey, you got to be on this has to get done. This has to be done. And unfortunately, a lot of times with men, it feels like that even when you have a spouse, and that's not saying the spouse isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing or trying to help, but it goes back to a lot of times childhood, you know what I mean? And how we come up as boys growing into men. A lot of times we don't know how to release that. A lot of times we don't know how to lean on other people because we're always on go.
Right, right. So you do bring up a good point. I was going to say that after hearing you say now your lack of vulnerability is kind of hard. You know, it's kind of like, who do I go to with my issues? You're so used to dealing with other people's issues and making sure everybody else is okay. It's like, whose shoulder do I cry on? You know, so that can be hard as a man as well, because it's like you're crying on their shoulders, but over time they're looking at you like, hey, you know, it ain't no load management. You know, we're talking NBA language, but you know, you're it. You're supposed to be the one to make sure everything's okay. So yeah, I can definitely say that though. You can't really be as vulnerable as you like. I mean, as you know, as a man at times.
Yeah, and when it comes to that particular aspect of it, because you said you have two boys. Now, do you notice that your boys, how are your boys, first of all? Are they sensitive like, or is there an open door policy? Or are they very expressive?
I mean, my 14-year-old, he has a different mom than my 6-year-old. Me and him not as close, but with my 6-year-old, we kind of raised him, me and my wife raised him to not be scared at all to come to us with anything. So regardless of how he's feeling, whether it's quote unquote unmanly, like, no, come to us with it. Let's figure it out. You know, so my 14-year-old, he's a real mild mannered. I try to, you know, talk to him from time to time, and he comes out of his shell. But my 6-year-old is no filter. Anything on his mind, he gonna come out with it. And that's what I wanted to be, because I don't want him to grow up feeling like I gotta hide this. You know, no, let me know whether it's, you know, right or wrong, bad or good, so we can kind of, you know, handle it together.
I agree. That's a good way to be too. And I didn't realize what I longed for until I was in my adult years. Because when I was a kid coming up, there were a lot of things that I wanted to talk to my dad about or say to my dad or whatever, but there was such a fear, and I don't want to use the word fear as in a terrified or abusive kind of way, because it wasn't that. It's just the respect and reverence were so strong to where sometimes I guess it kind of crossed the lines of fear. Like things that I wanted to talk to my father about, I never said anything. And that's when I learned how to bottle things up and just keep it moving. And it was because the way my dad raised us, it was you do what you're supposed to do, and that's just it. You know, you don't question anything. You don't go against what I say. You don't come and ask me anything. You're the child. So that's what I took into my adulthood. But the thing is, when I started having children, I didn't want my kids to feel like they couldn't tell me anything. And there was various reasons I didn't want that, because even though they say there's nothing new under the sun, there are a lot of things that are going on with these kids now, and a lot of different avenues they can go down that we just didn't face, that we just didn't go through. And so I try to have it to where they can talk to me, and, you know, they can open up. And some things I talk to them about that they may not even be bringing up. Things that I know that I was going through at a certain age. When they reached that age, I went ahead and started talking to them about certain stuff.
Right, because it's gonna happen. You know, life is gonna happen, Rico. So, like with my 6-year-old, we have times where it's just me and him. We might be laying on the couch watching TV or something, and I kind of ask him how his day was going. And he go to tell me about this and about his friends and stuff. And you know, hey, you know, it's okay to feel that way. You can, you know, I try not to make him feel that, like you said, that quote unquote fear to be, you know, to me and tell me things, because life can be tough, and I don't want you to bottle it up or feel like you don't have nobody to come bring it to you. Know.
That's so true. Now that goes into the next question. Do you feel like overall you're valued?
Yeah, I can definitely say I can. And the reason I feel like it is because when you kind of take a step back and look at things like my son, my kids, you know, my family, my wife, like they rely on me for things. And I know it and they know it, and I'm only doing my job. I'm not saying I want praise or anything for it, but I know that my son, when I pull up to pick him up from school today, or any day, he lights up. It's important for me to do certain things. So, and I know it. It's a natural feeling that he can't hide. So, yeah, I do know that, and I know it in action. From their action. I don't just say, well, I guess, because I'm doing this and doing that. No, like they actually showed me, I feel value.
I feel you. That's a good thing too, because I didn't. There were lots of times where I didn't feel valued, not in the present day, but I look back on a lot of past years and things like that. And once I realized why I wasn't feeling valued, and it was mainly because I didn't value myself. I didn't really see much for me because and I can say that it was because of things that were going on and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that makes me feel like I'm just using excuses. So I say it's all on me for various reasons. I didn't feel worthy in situations. I didn't feel like I could be more than what I was at the time. And I noticed that when you feel those things about yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody on the outside is saying. It doesn't matter what those close to you are saying. You're not going to receive it as truth.
It really doesn't. No matter what, like you say, no matter what nobody tells you, you gotta feel it. Like you really do. So I can see where you're going with that, because if you don't feel like you're bringing much to the table, how can you feel like someone values what you're bringing? Because you feel like you're not bringing much, or you're not bringing what you think you should be bringing. So no, they don't value this because I don't value it. So I definitely feel you on that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm the type that I don't like to feel like, if I know I'm bringing all I can, I'm bringing love, I'm bringing whatever I can, I don't like to feel like I'm not being valued. So I don't like to bring up what I'm doing or anything like that. But I will quickly remind you, listen, like don't get spotty, because I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. You bringing all you can to the table, giving your all, and somebody just chumps you off. I don't like that feeling. So once you feel, and I'm sure you're to this point, once you know you're bringing some stuff to the table and you value it, then I like to feel valued. I really, just like everybody else.
Yeah, and you do communicate that, right? Like when you feeling certain things, do you communicate it, or do you like hold it in and let it go a couple more times and then you say something?
Nope, I don't. I don't hold it in. I used to do that. I used to hold a lot of stuff in, but now I like to try to communicate a little bit better. I used to not, but I like to try to communicate a little bit better, and I'll paint the picture like, hey, hold up, let's backtrack. You're saying I'm not bringing this, I'm not doing this. What can I do? But listen, let's not forget. I'm bringing this, I'm sacrificing this. So let's both keep that in perspective. And I know, and I'm not downplaying what you're doing for me, but let's reciprocate to each other. So I voice it. I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah, I had to learn that too, because I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I said earlier, I think I was the king of holding things in. Like I so didn't want any kind of conflict, drama, or any of that. And a lot of that was in my head because I don't know if there would have been backlash or drama or stuff like that, but because I felt like there might be, I always wanted to keep everything even keel, everything on the low. So if it was and I've been in relationships before where a woman might ask me, well, what do you feel about this? Or do you have a problem with what I said? Or what do you think? And I'd just be like, nah, it's all good. It is what it is,
And even though that way. Yeah, I've been there, but nah, I want all the smoke. If I feel like I ain't being valued, I'm jobs and all. If I'm on a job and I feel like I ain't being valued, hey, boss, let me holler at you real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know, because this is not going to continue going like this. And I can let you know that I'm not gonna. That's a bad feeling. I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
For you to be bringing your all, like whether it's a relationship, whether it's with a job, I'm bringing my all to this individual. I'm doing everything I can to show I care, show I love, or whatever. Even if it ain't much, I'm bringing it. And for you to act like or actually feel like it's nothing, I don't like that feeling. And because I don't like that feeling, I got to bring it up. And regardless of how you take it, I try and, piece it out, talk it as well as I can. But regardless of how you take it, I got to get it out. So if it turns into an argument, which I try to avoid, but if it just is what it is, at least you know how I feel.
And that's the weird part about it, because I never had an issue with voicing things when it came to a job or when it came to friends or family. But for whatever reason, the only time I would really hold things in is when I was in relationships. And that's I don't know. I still haven't fully quite understood why I used to be that way, but that's the way that flowed though. Like jobs and stuff like that, shoot, man, it wouldn't be nothing for me to call the boss in the office for a meeting and lay stuff out. But those relationships, something different. I don't know whether it was because a lot of them we were in the same household under the same roof. So I was like, and I'm big on energy, so you know how it is when you get into it with somebody and stuff, for a couple of hours or a day, even sometimes, that the energy is just off. Y'all walking by each other, not really saying nothing, or you hear the door slam a little bit harder than it used to. And I ain't want no parts of all that.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a lot of comfort in the lack of conflict, if you would. So sometimes, like I'm the same way, I don't like arguing, I don't like conflict. So it's like, what can I do to avoid that? And I'll avoid it at all costs, even if that means me being, having a little sorrow or being a little uncomfortable. I don't want the conflict. So I don't think that's, unusual. I think that happens a lot more than we think.
Mm-hmm. Now, at what point in your life did you feel like you were the most vulnerable?
I would say when I had this health scare, and that's what kind of brought me and you to meeting up. I had a health scare with my heart or whatever, and I was going through some things, and I was kind of like, man, this is serious, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta kind of take this seriously. So I'm kind of expressing myself to the people who are close to me. Like, for example, we went on a family trip with, it was probably about 20 of us, and we were able to put it together. And I'm a talker, but typically I don't go to this level. But I told them, I'm so happy everyone's here. I had a scare with my heart, and you just never know. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, instead of just balling everything in, let me let people know how I feel, and, whatever they come with, as far as, encouragement or whatever, I'm willing to take it. So that kind of opened my eyes up a little bit, and I became a little vulnerable about that issue.
And that's good too. And I'm glad that I'm seeing on a grand scale, a lot more of us as men are taking our health a lot more serious, because we're on borrowed time as it is. And once we start having families and things like that, I think most of us want to be around a lot longer. And especially when these bad boys are active, because my kids are very, very active. And that's actually when in my life, when I felt most vulnerable. And that's when I started having kids, because my whole mindset changed on everything. The slightest little things that used to be a second thought to me of, if somebody said, hey, let's go out and hang it, whatever, I'd be quick to be like, okay, let's do it. Once I started having children, man, I'm trying to think about I'm foreseeing what could possibly happen. And oh, you say we going where? Well, who probably gonna be over there? It's so many things and different ways I looked at it once I started having kids. So I think that's been the most vulnerable in my life. And even to this day, I'm very vulnerable when it comes to my children, because my oldest is 27 and my youngest just turned 9. So, and there's some in between. So it's like all those different personalities, and sometimes I still get upset at certain things, and sometimes I still deal with things personally. But in all of that, I noticed that at the end of it, I'm always thinking about, how it's going to affect them, or uh, how is it going to stop me from doing what I'm trying to do to make sure that their future is pretty much set. So, and vulnerability isn't always comfortable.
No, especially when you're not used to it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And don't get, and just like you said, man, no doubt you gotta you gotta think for your kids. Like I tell a lot of kids I work with, like you can't think for the next 5 minutes. Somebody come say something to you crazy or something, and somebody try you. You think for the next 5 minutes. No, you about to make a decision that might affect you the next 5 months, the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Though I think, especially as a parent or as a father, it's kind of like that's the way we're wired. You gotta think for the future. Somebody come try me right now, unless it's to a fault. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got it, big dog. I gotta go home and feed my kid.
That's right.
You got it. I don't think like I used to. I gotta think like a parent now.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, prayerfully, our children can bring us back in line too. Because I mean, my daughter, the youngest one of them all, got me in line. It was about a month ago. Something happened, and I borderline snapped, and she had to be like, "Dad, no, stop." So I was like, "Oh my goodness," you know what I mean? So it's a struggle sometimes when you have these triggers and things like that. I mean, in a perfect world, we all would think about the repercussions of our actions all the time, and the way things could be. But it's a blessing when we have people in our circle that can kind of reel us in a little bit. But we also have to have that part of us that trusts them enough to allow them to do so.
Right. Now I got a knee-jerk reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like when the doctor hit that knee and that leg automatically go up. But about 2 seconds, I'm like, you know what? Okay. Well, okay. Let me reel myself back in. So
yep.
Don't get me wrong. I ain't gonna let my head, the buttons just be pushed like that. But for the most, you can think about your family, think about your kids, and kind of get back on track.
No doubt. Now, in what area do you feel like you could use the most improvement?
I would say what area I could use the most improvement in. I would say holding myself accountable for the thing. I always set little things in my mind. Like, for example, I know I need more rest. So at night, if I say I need to go to bed at 10 o'clock, everything need to be off and I need to be in my butt in bed at 10 o'clock. I always find a little thing. Well, I'm looking at this. I'm reading this. I'm doing that. So I need to hold myself accountable the same way I may hold my kids accountable, the same way I may hold the kids at my job accountable. So I need to use that self-accountability the same way I put on other people. So I would say I would need to improve a little bit in that area.
I think I still need to improve in opening up, because I've gotten a lot better. I mean, a lot better. But
Right.
I still find sometimes where something may be going on with me, or I may be thinking deeply on something, and I'll just keep it to myself, or I'll hold it in, and I'll have people might be like, "Hey, how are you?" Just checking on you. And sometimes I still fall into that, "Oh, I'm good," and just leaving it at that. And I have to catch myself, because I know the mental state that I was in back when I was doing that for everything. Just, and that's not, for me personally, that's not a good space to be in, not opening up and not talking and not letting that stuff out. So I definitely know that I need to improve in that area. I get better and better every day, but that's one of those things I don't know if I'll ever totally get to where I want to be, but I think it helps me to know that I'm trying every day to get better.
Right. And you know what? And correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the fact that the person who's asking you, are you good? Does your mind kind of automatically categorize them as like, what, they're not as close to me for me to open up. Because I talk to my wife a lot of times about, like I was talking to you, definitely when we up in the area, I'm definitely coming through,
Yeah.
We need more people, more couple friends or more individual friends that we can kind of get close with and bond with. That don't happen like it, as a kid, you meet a kid in the sandbox and you're all best buds. But as adults, life was kind of hard to get close to people. As adults, you can count on 2 fingers the amount of friends you got sometimes, so is it because you're not as close with somebody to open up, or just you in particular, even if you're close with them, you have a problem with opening up?
I think with me, it's because when I was 16, my dad got locked up. And when we were very, very close-knit family, he and my mom both were in the home. We hung out with our cousins all the time, aunts, uncles, the whole nine. And so when he got locked up, all of that stopped. It's like we didn't hear from family members that I thought we would have heard from. Everything got dispersed. And so I think that caused me to build up this wall of non-trust, because I was like, if the people that for this majority part of my life I loved and I thought that loved me to the ends of the earth, if they're not even checking to see if we got food to eat, if they're not even checking to see if we got a roof over our head, then nobody cares.
Nobody else.
Yeah, nobody cares. And so I took that, and that just stayed with me. So I was like, okay, it's almost like it's me against the world. And I had to unlearn that, because in those times it pretty much was just my mom and my immediate siblings. So as I got older, I just kept it like that. We would discuss certain things, but outside of that, I wasn't trying to hear anything from anybody. And I still fall into that sometimes. But like I said, I'm getting better at it. I had to learn how to allow people to be who they are and not who I felt like they should be. So once I really started looking at things that way, and allowing people to show me how committed they were to me as a person, versus me just assuming that everybody wasn't worth anything, things got better.
Man, I got a saying. It's funny you say that, because I got a saying. I'm like, people appear to be your friend or close to you because the opportunity hasn't presented itself for them to show you otherwise. Like, you think you could be knowing somebody 5 years, oh, that's my dog, we cool, but let an opportunity come up for them to show you that they're. And sometimes those opportunities or those chances may take years or, months or years. But trust me, just like you said, you got to allow people to be who they are, because I promise you, they're going to be just that. And
That's
nothing
right.
else. They're going to be just that.
That is absolutely true. Now, did other men teach you how to be a man, or did you learn it on your own?
I would say nobody actually kind of, and me and my dad were extremely close. But even he didn't sit me down and say, this is this, this is this. So I would say, as a youngster, I see people's actions. And as a youngster, because I had a cousin, for example, I was probably about 12. I loved hanging out with him because he had an Xbox and all that, but he sold drugs. And he would even be with him sometimes. Thank God I was just visiting my dad for the summer, and I got out of that situation. Because you really, at a young age, you really don't know you see what's cool and you think that's right. So as I got older, I was able to piece those actions that I seen from certain people. Like, you know what? Like, he was a good role model. I need to take this from him. He was a good role model. Or he loved me, but he didn't show me the right things to do. I don't need to do that. I need to stay away from that. And then as I got a little wiser, I was able to bottle that all up and kind of say, okay, I did have people that showed me what to do. Like I said, they didn't sit me down and have a lot of one-on-ones. I kind of was able to, take what I saw and go from there. I had a cousin in particular. because I'm from a small town, and I was like 13, 14, never, going too much outside of North Florida. Like, he took me down to Orlando, showed me things, showed me the city, and he never did anything wrong. The smoking, the drinking, the stuff. He always worked, and he always showed me the right thing to do. So, like, even him, he didn't, hey, boy, you need to stop doing this, you need to not do this. But I had some people that showed me the right things to do. So I was able to kind of go off their guidance.
I feel you. And I didn't have, mine was kind of similar because it was more so a showing me versus telling me. I never had, uncles or even my dad for that matter, sit me down and say, look, son, this, and this is the way you should go. This is what being a man is. This is what you should do. It was all me watching. I watched my father. I watched my uncles and things like that. I mean, I learned how to drive a stick shift simply from just watching my dad drive. He never said, okay, do this, and do this. It was watching him is what caused me to be that way. Now, the times are so different now, especially when you aren't like in the home with your children. It's more, I think it's kind of even with vocalizing it and showing them. Like with my sons, my oldest son, I was in the home with him until he was about 6 or 7. And then it became more verbal teaching other than him seeing me when he came to be with me. But a lot of it is so I don't think a lot of men understand how much they say without even talking.
Right.
Those actions, man.
That's the loudest talking.
Yes. I know for a fact a lot of the bad things that I was taught about manhood came from the verbalizations. And it was around the ages of 17 to 20, those. And I noticed that the things that were taught to me that were done more with words tended to be the things that I didn't need to be doing.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like the stuff that I was just seeing was the positive stuff and the things that, I should implement into my life. But those cats that were say, hey, this is what you should be doing, or won't you do this, won't you do that? Now, when I look on it, it was all stuff that was leading to destruction.
Right. I heard somebody say, never take advice. That's the best advice they ever received. But it's funny to say that because nowadays I feel like it's getting everything's so fast with the internet and all that. Your kid can be on. My son is on iPad. He can be playing a kid game, and the ads that pop up are trying to lure them. I have him on, parental control, everything. I say what you want, don't be so no, because the slightest second can show you I say you have to out parent everything else. You just send your kid to school and other kids are out parenting you, because they seem cool. Your kid will follow them.
That's right.
With my 14-year-old, I get him once a month. And, I try to show him as much as I can and spend quality time with him. With my 6-year-old, just like you said, I do both. Like, not only do I try and show him, I mean, when he in the car, when he run a red light, I try to show him the right things to do at all times. And I also talk to him, hey, listen, the reason daddy do this and whatever, I might not, I might be working late and won't come home because guess what? Daddy has to make sure that we have lights, daddy provides or whatever. So all the things that you get, daddy has to go out and work hard. And I'll always make sure you have them. And you'll be like, okay, and before you know, when he comes of age, he'll be like, I got to provide for my family.
That's right.
So I'm with you with that, as far as telling the man showing.
And it's crazy that you even mentioned the other things out parenting the kids and how it only takes a second, because I know when a couple of years ago, when my son was about, I think he was 6 going on 7, this boy had he had put something in a search bar, and I think it was about Megan Thee Stallion or something like that. But he typed that back because he has older brothers and they're into rap and stuff like that. So he listens to them and stuff. And he had typed Megan Thee Stallion in the search bar, And not only did her stuff come up, but before long, we did a search on his computer and stuff, and there were all kinds of hindquarters and breastises all in his doggone search bar. So that opened up a whole new world to him. And then he got into looking at other things. And so yeah, it took us a while to reel him back in. But it's hard out here, brother.
Yeah, it is, man. Like I say it all the time, you gotta try to out-parent everybody else.
Yep.
Ain't nobody else time on your bills or food in your house, but you still gotta out-parent them. You gotta ask, what is your kid doing? You gotta ask how his day was in school, because we can get so caught up in, come on, get home, take a bath, get ready to go to school. You so used to the hustle and bustle of your job and all of that, but we gotta take the time to see what these kids are into. You know, my kid he says certain things. I try not to yell at him because I don't want him to freeze up like I can't talk to my daddy about nothing.
Yeah.
I might be like, who said that? Where you heard that from? So I can see what's going on in his world, you know what I'm saying? Because your kid is going away from you 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day.
That's
and
right.
You know what's going on outside of him being, in your presence.
That is so true. And with knowing that type of stuff and with the way you operate now, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self, and I feel this way all the time, but I don't like to, dwell on it or live with regrets. But I would say, as far as like career-wise or making it in life, whatever it is that you want to do, and I know as a 15, 16-year-old, what you might want to get into may change several times, but whatever it is, do your research on it to a T, go for it, don't stop. Because I found myself a lot like in a rat race, chasing money, or they say that this is good for this, but it's not good for me. You know what I'm saying? They say this make all kind of money, but it's something I hate. And I'm the type, if I get on a job and I hate it, back in the day they said, boy, stay on that job for 40 years and you get this. No, if I'm on a job and I don't like it, my days are numbered. I feel like as a man, I need to have something else in line because I don't need to go without being able to provide, but my days are numbered. I don't like to do anything that I don't feel value, like I'm making a difference and all of that. And I feel like God has brought me back around to my purpose. Am I a millionaire because of it? No. Is it providing? Most definitely. But I feel like every day I go to work, we just came off of spring break. I was like the opposite of everybody else. I was like, dang, I can't wait to go back to work. I got so much I need to do. This kid falling off, I need to do this. I love going to work. And I feel like that's what's important in life. It took me a long time to get there, but I feel like I'm at that point now.
And that's good too. And that's one of the things that pushed me in the direction of entrepreneurship, because I remember it was about 10 years ago. I had, maybe a little longer than that, I was applying to this job, and the owner asked to see my resume. And while he was looking at my resume, at the end of the resume, he said, I want you to tell me the truth. I said, okay, what's going on? He said, I have a feeling that you're one of two kind of people. He said, either you don't get along with people or you get bored very easily. And I said, what make you say that? He said, because I'm looking at your resume and every single job that you have on here only lasts 2 years. And I never thought about it like that until he brought it to my attention. And I noticed that around that 1.5 or 2 year mark, I would get very bored with jobs. Yeah, I was like, if I'm not, and I started telling jobs when I would interview, I'm like, okay, this is the way I want to progress in this company. This is the amount of time I'm giving myself to do it. If it doesn't happen in that, I'm letting you know I'm gonna look elsewhere.
Right.
And so it got to a point where I was progressing in these jobs, but I still wasn't feeling fulfilled. I still wasn't feeling like I was doing what I was meant to do.
Right.
And thankfully, once I started walking in my purpose and through prayer and meditation, started letting things come to me and started letting my talents and things work for me versus me working against them, things started going a lot smoother. Now, am I on the Forbes list yet? Nope, not yet. But I feel so much better now. Stress levels are down, anxiety is down. time that I get to spend with loved ones and things like that are up. You know, the things that matter. Because I saw a video about the amount of time that we actually spend away from the ones that we love so much. You know, we give
Right.
these jobs where it used to be 8 hours, but now that's bumped up to 12 or 15 hours a day. 9 times out of 10, you get 2 or 3 hours to spend with the family at home, and you got to go to bed to do it all over again. So it's like we're working so hard for our loved ones and depriving them of the time, you know what I mean, that we could be
Right.
spending with them because we can't get that time back.
At all. And you got to balance it. You can't be saying, well, I'm spending all the time in the world with you, but I'm broke. We all know that can't, be that
That's
way.
right.
But loving what you do is so underrated. Like, I've seen it. I've been on both sides. Like, it's so underrated. I had a friend of mine who used to always come up with analogies. And I used to be like, would you rather a job that you don't like and make $100K, or a job you love and make $65K? It ain't even a question. I'm going for the 65. I can't be anywhere I don't feel fulfilled. And this particular friend said, he was like, man, you could put me in a room in the dark for 10 hours a day. If it's paying me what I need to pay, sign me up. I'm like, I'm that opposite, man. Like, I don't care how much it's paying. I gotta feel fulfilled. I gotta feel like I'm making a difference, and I gotta feel valued. I'm touched, just like you said, stress levels, happiness. I can't be on nobody's job 8 hours a day, a third of my life, and I'm unhappy.
Nope.
It doesn't work like that. I can't do it.
I literally had people calling me an idiot one time. This was I think it was about 6 years ago. I had an opportunity. Well, I had applied to Boeing just to be doing it, just because people said it was hard to get in there, and I like a challenge. So I was like, I'm gonna apply. So, but this other job called me like a week before Boeing called me, and so Boeing was going to start me. I was going to be a fabricating specialist. They were going to start me at $27 an hour. Now, this other job said that, okay, we can bring you in as forklift driver. We'll start you at $12 an hour. And so, like I was saying earlier, I spoke to them about, okay, well, how soon can I progress from that? And, blah, blah, blah. And so he told me, but when I turned Boeing down to work at that other company, people were like, you got to be freaking kidding me. But it was because I did my research. I knew a couple of people that worked at Boeing, and they told me the stresses and headaches that they had with that. And I was like, look, it's not worth it to me. I protect my peace at all costs.
The question for them to be, would you rather be a stress-free idiot or a stressed out guy that's making a little more money? Now, don't get me wrong. Money is extremely important.
Very important.
It is literally the key to your quality of life.
Yep.
But comes with all that stress, man. You gotta know that all money ain't good money. And a lot of people stress themselves to the grave to make a few extra dollars. Don't get me wrong. I love to spend, just like don't we all?
Yeah.
But I love my peace too. That is priceless to me.
Man, I love that piece a lot more than I love the size of my wallet. I'm trying to tell you. And then I have to look at it all depends on what quality of life people are even talking about too, because there are people that are literally living in freaking huts that are very happy. They hunt their own food. They don't have no electricity, no TV, no social media, none of that. They living out there and they are happy.
Right.
So everybody's form of happiness is different. Now, me, I like my electronics and things like that. I like taking trips and stuff like that. So yeah, that stuff takes money. But at the same time, it's like you said, if it comes down to me having a whole lot of money and it's attached to a whole lot of stress and headache, nah, I'll continue to do what I got to do to make sure my family's straight, get by, and have my peace.
Right. That sounds like a t-shirt to me, man. Peace is priceless.
Facts.
But like you say, balance, man. I mean, I ain't trying to be poor and at least I ain't on no stressful job. I got to stressing to take that trip.
Yeah.
Or you know, I'm trying to get myself to a better situation. Hey, babe, this job pay good. I'm gonna stay on it till I find me a little something else better. That kind of it might pay a little less, but guess what? I'm a lot less stressed. So it's all about balance.
It is. Now, this next question is gonna seem a little crazy, but I'm gonna tell you where I got it. One of my homeboys had a post, and he was talking about this particular subject, and his post made me think about a scene in Baby Boy where Yvette was asking Jody if he was sleeping with, I think his baby mamas and other women or whatever. And his response to her made me think of this question. And this question is, and think about it, do you think that a part of your job is to lie sometimes?
Ah, man, great question. And I know exactly what you're talking about in Baby Boy. I'm going to say, I'm going to lean on the side of yes. And it's a lot of people, women in particular, or I would say people in particular. They say, just be straight up with me. Tell me the truth. I get it. But for a man, I feel like that our sole purpose in relationships or being the father is to provide and protect. Mm-hmm. It don't say to not lie and provide. It says provide and protect. And I believe what comes with protect is just in general, protect if something physical happens, somebody breaks in, I gotta protect, but also for me to protect your feelings. Because think about it like this. My son, it depends on you what age you want to go up to. But when my son was 3, guess what? We was in there baking cookies talking about Santa coming tonight. Mm. And Lord knows Santa ain't spending now dime on these presents.
That's right.
But I wanted him to have that, and when he was about 6, he's like, hey, I'm getting what I asked for. Hey, yeah, you right. You ain't no Santa boy. You open these presents. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like the tooth fairy. Hey, your tooth done came out. Guess what? You put that tooth up under there. Now, is that not lying? That's lying.
That's right.
What? I'm protecting his childhood. I'm protecting his feelings. Now, when it comes to women, like my wife in particular, always tells me, be straight up, don't lie. If I ask you this, don't lie about it. So some women are on different levels when it comes to that. But even with her, sometimes you want to pick your battles. She might say something, ain't going to totally lie. But guess what? I might not totally tell the full, the full truth. You like this, right? This food was good? No, I ain't finna say, this was super good when it was nasty. But I'm still gonna hit you with a hey, that was pretty good. Because guess what? The food was actually kind of good. Yeah. And guess what? I want us to sleep good tonight. There you go. So I feel like that provide and protect kind of does make it a little bit of your job. You might throw a little white lie here and there. And, everybody can move on. I don't be a blatant liar about everything, but every now and then. So I'm going to go with yeah.
And see, I'm so glad that you tapped in to what I was talking about, because that's everything you said is exactly my thoughts and feelings on it too. We aren't only called to protect when it comes to something physical. We have to protect our loved ones' emotions. We have to protect their hearts. We have to protect them in the spirit realm, because just like women and mothers and our grandparents, prayed for us, we have to pray for those we have love for as well. So that the lying, I think when we hear the word lie, it's normally attached to something so negative. Like when we hear old man lie to a woman, 9 times out of 10, the first thing somebody gonna think about is he's trying to deceive her or he's cheating on his woman. Whereas when you look at the root of lie, hey, that goes with a lot of stuff. And people make funny memes about it, but me personally, I have yet to see a non-cute baby. But I have seen a lot of memes where people will say, hey, here's my baby, and somebody will say, oh, they so cute, but then turn around and tell somebody else they not. Guess what? That's a lie.
That's a lie. But guess what? Am I going to sit there, and everybody's done it, am I going to sit to see that same person? It might be like, be straight up with me. So if I sit here and tell you, nah, I ain't going to lie, I'm going to keep it G with you. Like, your baby ugly. So what you going to say? Oh, okay, yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, now you got issues and problems.
Thanks for your input.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, I really appreciate your honesty."
Now they might tell you that, but like on Baby Boy, psychologically, like
Yeah.
something mental. He knew he was lying.
Yep.
But it's like our first instinct in a man is to protect and to provide. So he didn't have to think about it, you know. And I think he eventually told her the truth or whatever.
Yeah, he did.
You got to think about it. Our first instinct is to protect you, not only physically but mentally and emotionally. So sometimes it come out that way.
And to the men that may be listening to this broadcast or watching it on YouTube tonight, we are not at all saying that you should go out there and start lying to people. What we are saying is there are various reasons on why people say what they say and certain lies come about. And one of the listeners just said protect too. A lot of times, depending on the man, because you do have guys out here that lie strictly for selfish reasons. They aren't at all thinking about who they're talking to. They aren't thinking about their partners. They aren't thinking about sparing someone's feelings. A lot. There are dudes out here that are lying strictly because they want to keep doing what they're doing. They don't want to be found out. They're not man enough to totally be transparent with a woman, a friend, a family member, or whoever. So it goes. It's a broad thing, but overall, this one is speaking about those men that are doing things for the right reasons and stuff like that. Even those guys lie sometimes.
Right, no doubt.
Now, how often do you put yourself first?
I guess I'm kind of shoot from both barrels with this because from time to time when there's things I want to buy, purchase for myself, I'm not gonna say that I hesitate and say, "Hey, babe, do you have this first before I buy it for me?" You know, but when I know that everything and everyone else is straight, then I kind of put myself first, if that makes sense. But it kind of sounds like I'm saying I'm putting them first and then putting me first, which is I guess I can say I don't tend to put myself first a lot because there's really never a time when everything is in the hole, my kids ain't got this or whatever, or I want this, so I'm gonna do it simply because I deserve it, I'm gonna do it. I always want to make sure that my wife is good and my kids are good. And then when it's something that I'm yearning for, I want to buy this or I want to, hey, y'all, I kind of want to just go hang with, just hang out by myself or something like that. I make sure that they're straight first. So I guess I can say I don't put myself first a lot, but I'm selfish with myself either. I make sure I got my needs as well.
And I'm on that realm too. I mean, I had to learn how to do that though, because it took me a while to get to the point where I was actually doing things for myself. But it's like you were saying with the other thing, it's balance in it because I do things for myself some now, but I'm the type of guy I don't need a lot, to be happy or satisfied. So it is what it is. Now we're down to a minute and a half, but I have two specific questions left that I wanted to ask you before we open up the floor to anyone else in the room that wants to come up. So I'm gonna ask you this question now. While you're answering it, if it happens to cut off, just hop back up here so you can finish out the question, and then we can go on to the last question, and then we'll open it up for others to come up. But it's how important is your mental health to you?
I think that's without a shadow of a doubt extremely important because without mental and your perception is your reality. Whatever you feel like that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? So you mad at the world or whatever, you feel like nobody loves you and all that, or you just down mentally. That's what you're gonna react on. So I feel like to have a clear mind, to have some peace, have some appreciation of life and everything. That's very important. So I mean, mental health is extremely important to me.
That's good, brother. And I started tap dancing and you'll have to ask to come back up here because you got about 10 seconds. So I'll say my piece on this, and then that'll give you some time to come back up. But I just started tap dancing with the betterment of my mental health, and I think it was 2013, 2014 is when I started seeing a therapist. I started really opening up and getting into things that happened in my childhood that probably shaped how I was as an adult. But I even fell off a little bit then. And then I got back into taking my mental health seriously about 4 years ago. But it is extremely important. And that's why I try to not only tell everyone, but especially men. And there's so much that starts with the man. And I feel like a lot of the issues that we see in the news, a lot of issues where, people that I know personally that taught me, a lot of those things, when you speak on the negative parts of it, unfortunately, is rooted with a man. And I think a lot of that is because we aren't taking care of ourselves physically and mentally. And that just rolls over into the spiritual aspect. But a lot of it is, from when I talk to guys, a lot of it is people don't feel like things can happen to them. Like, you'll see people crash out and they'll be like, oh man, they'll say something about the dude. Darn, well, dude should have did this, should have did that. Or he crazy for doing da 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 da. But you don't know what's going on with this particular man. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes on, and if we would take better care of ourselves, if we would talk to people, if we would let these things out. And all the times, it ain't even got to be serious stuff. Sometimes I've had guys call me and be like, bro, I just need to talk to somebody because today was a stressful day at work. Just simple stuff like that. I don't think a lot of us really take that kind of stuff serious. And I think that I don't even know if women are better at taking care of their mental health than men, or I have no idea. But I do know that I see a lot of women utilize outlets, whether it's them talking to their friends, whether they in their group chats, whether they're expressing themselves on different platforms. It's just, you see that all of the time. And unfortunately, I'm not saying this is how it goes all the time, but for the most part, when I see men doing it, they're doing it in a negative way toward women, though.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you further messing yourself up. Right. Because that's a lot of negative energy. And instead of, a lot of times, and this is not with all of them, but a lot of times, instead of saying, oh, I'm feeling this type of way, and I kind of dug into it and I think I'm feeling this way because of this, they're going with the pointing the finger thing. Oh, well, if women weren't doing this, or if women weren't doing that, and if my woman would do this or do that, I'm like, come on, man.
Right. I think a lot of that time, the reason it's more women than men, one, because we're a little more stubborn. Like, we're a little more prideful, and it's like we're kind of like, man, I don't need it. I'm good. Like we talked about at the beginning of the show, like that, being vulnerable and things of that nature that men come with. We're it. Who are we going to? We don't have anybody to go to. That's how we feel a lot of times. And to your point, also, I don't, and I used to, you look at the news, man, they stupid, they crazy. Listen, I don't put judgment on anybody when it comes to anything. Now, do I think there are certain things that are selfish? I do. Because, like, for an example, say you're going through so much that you feel like you got kids to leave. I seen a video one time, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody that, somebody may have went through this. A guy took his life and he had his kids there. I feel like I get it. The weight of the world may be on your shoulders, but that was a little bit of a selfish act, but I don't judge nobody for what they do, for what they may be going through. One, I'm not going through it, and two, you don't know what that person's going through or how they may be feeling. So I don't pass the judgment because, man, you know, I've been in some tight spots where I'm like, oh my God, like this is getting thick. You know? So I don't pass that judgment.
Yeah, I've never been in that judgment form either, because I've had times in my life, you know, just like you, where I felt like, you know, how when you're coming up and you'll see things going on and you'll think to yourself, man, I could never get in a position to where I feel like doing A, B, or C until you're in that position. And so, yeah, so when I see certain things going on, I instantly feel sad about it. I used to get upset when I see, since we're talking about men, when I see certain men doing things like what you were talking about, I used to get so mad and stuff. But now it's like the empathy part kicks in and I get sad because I instantly, for one, I'm sad that it happened to begin with. For two, I always start thinking, what was this brother going through? Why did he feel like there was no way out? You know, did he try to talk to somebody and maybe it got shot down, or were doors slammed in his face? You know, all these things go on. And if you're not careful, a lot of that energy comes onto you, and now you in a depressed state and, you know, feeling down on it. So yeah, I don't know. I hope and I pray that it gets a lot better. But as we can see, there's so much going on, bro, with people crashing out and stuff like that. But
yeah, but mental health, I do think we need to take a little bit more seriously. And it's a shame that we don't have more brotherhoods or circles of people that we can talk to. Because one thing about mental health, I was talking with the counselor one time, and the most refreshing thing that I experience when it comes in the mental realm is having a perspective about a particular situation or subject and be gun-ho on it. Mm-hmm. But somebody can word things in a way to that light bulb goes off. You're like, wow, I never seen it like. So this why I may be feeling this way. And when you actually can make that connection in your mind, that's very enlightening. And I feel like you can put the pieces of certain puzzles together so much clearer. So I was speaking with a counselor one time, and she blew up the spot. I was like, wow. So you know what? You're right. I'm telling her you're right about me, and I never met her. But she dug deep about my childhood, about some past things, and she wasn't just telling me like she was a psychic. Oh, this is why you feel that way. She was like, so do you think that this may be the way that? And I'm like, wow, like yeah, like this is exactly why I feel that way. So I mean, I feel like mental health, especially for men, is underrated, man. I feel like we need more brotherhoods that hold each other accountable, have conversations, and professionals that can help us open up mentally. So I think it's definitely important.
And I think that's one of the things that we need to look at as men too, and we need to understand that sometimes someone on the outside looking in can just hear a little bit about what's going on and open up an entire window to answers to these questions that we don't even know we have. Because a lot of times we'll totally shut somebody down and be like, oh, you don't know me, so you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing, or you don't know why I feel such. But the first time I got into therapy, one of the first things the therapist asked was, tell me about your childhood. Right. She was like, between the ages of this and this, how did you feel? Was there love, or was there anything that you feared? Stuff like that. And when you start peeling back those layers, you start finding out, why you're dealing with some of the things that you're dealing with.
And I was so naive. I was like, I didn't say this. I dug deep for those answers, but I was kind of like, why does that matter? Like, I'm a grown man right now. But it matters more than we'll ever know. Like, it matters a lot.
That's right. All right, now, this question here, and I'll say this too. After we get through this question, I want to say I want men to come up and speak on what you may have heard, because there's a lot of people in here right now. Speak up on what you've heard, what you may have gone through, because you never know what you can say that might help someone, and it might help yourself as well. After we get through this question, I'm gonna drop you down, and I'm gonna have one of the ladies come up and speak her piece. And after that, I'm hoping that we'll have some men come up and join the discussion. If not, the floor will be open for anyone to come up that may want to speak on it. And in case this question goes a little bit, I'd hate to forget, I want to thank you, Kev, for coming on and being a guest tonight. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. So I just want to get that out there right now, just in case we kind of get to going, and I forget to say that. I want you to know that you appreciate it. I respect you, honor you as another man, and definitely continue to do what you're doing, because you're helping more people than you know. I don't know if you know it or not, but you're helping a lot of people. You're a great example to your sons. Just keep being you, brother. But with that being said, do you feel like most people understand you or just tolerate you?
I'm gonna go with tolerate, but tolerate can be taken in a negative way. I just deal with you. No, that's not it. Well, in a good way. Some people like being around me, but I'm gonna say I feel like a lot of people. I'm very vocal. I'm very detailed when I talk. So you would think a lot of people get me, and some do, but I feel like a lot of people, because I feel like I can be very diverse. If I go I'm from a small country town. I can talk slang. I can go to the tree with the fire burning, talk to them folks.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can go in any situation. So, but do they know the real me? I'm adapting. You know what I'm saying? I'm being diverse. But do they know actually who I am? And that's not a bad thing. You don't open up to everybody, but I'm definitely gonna go with tolerate. I'm gonna go with tolerate on that, because they don't fully know who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until somebody digs deep. Do you know the things that I really like? Do you know the things that bring me peace? Do you know the things that bring me happiness? The things that I like to really do. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with tolerate. Some understand, but I'm gonna go with mainly tolerate.
And I think for the most part, I think it used to be tolerate with me. I think now it's more understand versus tolerate, only because I've gotten to a point where I'm a lot more open now. I think people had no choice but to tolerate me over understand before, because I wasn't giving them anything to understand. I wasn't opening up. They would try to ask questions and try to get to know me, but I wasn't allowing that to happen. So it became a tolerating type of thing. And it's good to sometimes only give people so much, because, as you know, everybody doesn't have your best interests at heart a lot of times. So too much information can cause a lot of problems sometimes. But I appreciate you again. Is there anything that you want to say in closing? And when I say in closing, I don't mean you have to leave the entire talk. Like I said, we're going to drop you down and let someone else come up. But is there anything that you want to tell the people or say to the people?
Right, no doubt, man. I really enjoyed myself, man. We got some listeners on here. I can talk all day about this. There's a lot of conversations that need to be had, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing this again. I enjoyed the conversation. Time just flew by, and definitely want to come on and do this again with you, man. But I appreciate you. I feel valued. I feel likewise. I respect you, honor you as a man, and I really enjoyed myself tonight.
Oh, no doubt, brother. You'll definitely be coming back. Don't worry about that. I'll talk to you later on that, though. But yeah, hey, if you can stay up in here and listen to the rest of the show. If not, I'll probably hit you up tomorrow sometime.
Well, I'm here to the end, man. I'll hang around, and if anybody got something or whatever you want to bring me back up, or I'll just sit in and listen. But I'm here to the end.
Oh, that's what's up. Okay, then. Well, I'm gonna drop you down real quick. All right. All right, y'all. So now we've had an hour and 20 minutes of dialogue. So those that are in here, you know pretty much what we were talking about when it comes to a man's thoughts. There was a lot more that I had set up to ask, but I do like to always give an opportunity to open up the floor for other people to come in, speak their piece, speak their truth, get things off their chest if they want to. So that's why normally I try to keep it at like an hour and a half with a guest. But now's the time. The floor is open. Anybody that wants to come up. I know okay, we got somebody here, Miss Charmaine, but hopefully some of the guys will come up too. Fellas, come on up. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
How are you liking the discussion tonight?
It is not everything that he said and you said, I've heard over and over and over again. As you know, my situation now.
Mm-hmm.
But those that don't know my situation, I was married for 27 years, and my husband decided he wanted to leave, and this was pretty much like the main discussion of why he just up and left, supposedly. But for 27 years, he did tell me, exactly what you both said. I'm the man of the house. I have a lot of responsibilities. I have to make sure that, the house stays afloat. If I take a day off, I can't take a day off because if I take a day off, things will fall. Whenever, I wanted to, do something, go to the movies or go out, take some time off. Oh, I can't take time off. I got to work, bills need to be met. If I don't work, then, who's going to be here to help me pay the bills, even though I worked. He decided, he didn't want to work, for a company. So he ended up starting his own business. And he started his own business, and it became, he did a really good job with his business, but he was the only one running the business. He didn't have any employees. He was the only one running it. So a lot of the times he was having to run around with his head cut off, basically, from the morning till night. And I used to tell him all the time, hey, boy, you should tell him, hey, your job is from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, and that's it. But he did IT, so pretty much he did a lot of businesses. He didn't do really residential. He did a lot of businesses, and he was like, I have to attend to them because the next morning the employees have to come in, or they have meetings they have to do first thing in the morning. So it was always emergency why he had to work. And he did say, he was stressed out. Whenever I recommend taking vacations, I don't have time. It's just impossible. But you go ahead and go on vacation. I'll just stay here. And whenever I would offer to help with things that can relieve a little. I mean, not, as far as his company, but, stuff around the house that he might, have done, he'll say, no, don't worry about it. I got it. So not only did he run his own business, but he ran the house. And when I tell you ran the whole house, he ran the whole house. All I had to do was work, and that's it. I didn't have to deal with the bills. I didn't have to deal with pretty much not a lot of stuff, and which I would offer to him, like, hey, well, do you want me to do this? No, don't worry about it. It came to the point where we didn't even go grocery shopping. He would order it online, and I'd be like, oh, you want me to order it? No, don't worry about it. I got it. So a lot of stuff that I would offer, he would say, no, don't worry about it. I got it. And I knew it was a lot because he would tell me you were stressed out working on your own business, running the household, which was just me and him with no kids, So it's just running the household, running the business. Came to the point where he would turn off his cell phone. So he won't get calls till when he would wake up at 10 o'clock in the next morning, and he would work all the way till 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. So at the end of all this, I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to help you. I see you stressed out. You come looking tired. And sometimes I don't even know when to speak to him because I'm like, am I going to get him when he's in a good mood? Or am I going to get him when he's tired? Or so I would literally have to wait till the weekend in order to speak to him because I know I didn't want to put any more on top of what he already had. And the way he was looking tired. So I didn't want to put any more stress on whatever he already had for his day, which kind of sucked for me because it's like I want to talk to him, but I can't because I already know he's in that stressful mental mind and I don't want to add more. So I literally would have to wait till the weekend. And some things I couldn't wait on. I would have to tell him. And he was like, well, I don't have much, just added to the more stuff that I got going on. And I'm just like, oh. I'm like, well, dang, I didn't really want to tell you, but I have no choice but to tell you, is this going on? Or, maybe like a plumbing will go out. Now I got to deal with this on top of the other shit I got to deal with, and it's just like, and there's nothing I could do because he did not want me to help him. He wanted to handle everything. So I guess as a man, I don't know if that's something that, I guess once a man starts handling stuff, does he feel like he's blessing a man to like let go of some responsibility and let me handle it?
I think a lot of times, and I think I've said it on previous shows, when you have to know who you're with, because it sounds like there was so much on his plate, so much that he put on his plate to where it was hard for you to find a place on the table. And did you ever feel like you were kind of walking on eggshells when it came to him? Like,
oh yeah, every day, except for Saturday and Sundays because that's when he wasn't working, so it was a little bit more calmer, a little bit more. You could see it in his face that he was a little bit more at ease. So I literally would have to wait. Yeah.
Now, for the most part, from what you know, how was his childhood? Was he like the unofficial man of the house? Did he have a lot of responsibilities growing up?
Well, he was raised with a mother and father, and his dad was really strict. So he had, there was 3 boys, 2 girls, and the dad didn't play. The dad was like, look, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Y'all need to get up, make your bed, go brush your teeth, go eat your breakfast, and water the plant if I got plants. So they would go out there and do some yard work. They came back in. They of course they ate, and dad closed the kitchen at a certain time frame. You can go get water, but you can't get nothing out the fridge. You can't eat. So he was a strict, like a military. He was a strict person.
Shoot, and, that sounds like my father.
In the summer, they didn't have like vacations. Well, they did have vacations, but for the pretty much his mom would have them study. She would actually have classes with all her kids. They had to learn the math. They had to learn presidents. They had to learn pretty much math. So they did not rest in summer either. They were pretty much doing stuff around the house and studying.
So it sounds like he's been on go mode his whole life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, and you don't have to answer this next question if you don't feel comfortable answering it. But since the split, have you guys had an opportunity to like seriously sit down and talk? Like, has he? I know you've probably voiced the things that you felt like you just did, but has he said, the reasons why he was that way? Has he voiced any remorse from how things turned out? Or is it just hey, this happened because of this and that's just what it is?
Well, so the day that he was actually leaving, because it was a surprise to me. I didn't know he was leaving. He just all of a sudden just was like, I can't take it. I can't take it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're kicking your own self out, because I'm not kicking yourself. I'm not kicking you out. It was like, I'm very stressed out. I'm very stressed out to the point where a week ago I just wanted to take my truck and run it into a tree. He's like, that's that. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna go on vacation with my boys, because they were asking me. I'm gonna go on vacation with my boys because I need this vacation mentally. And he was like, and it came to that point where I was even thinking, he was like, let me just end this so it can all be over with. And he was like, but I can't do it. He's like, I want to be happy. I want to travel. I want to be myself. I want to, he's like, I'm going to be 51 years old and I want to live my life. I want to enjoy my life, whether it's living in a little apartment and being by myself. But as long as I'm happy, that's what I care about. So in my head, I'm like, what is he talking about? This dude don't flick. Because there's times where I told him, hey, let's go on vacation. He's like, no, I got to work. Oh, let's go do this. No, I got to work. And he would put me first. Yes, he put me first all the time. You know, when we, like if I wanted to buy something, like he would let me buy it and put himself last. He did that all the time, because he did say that. He's like, well, I don't do much but work, and you do things. So you go ahead and go get what you need, and don't worry about me. And all I do is work anywhere. I won't be going nowhere. And that's because he put himself there. I didn't put himself there, but he put himself there, you know? And so that last day, he was telling me how he was feeling. And I'm just like, what in the world just freaking happened? Like, you know, like how everything that you guys had said is the same thing that he announced to me.
Well, riddle me this. And I hope you don't curse me out from the things that I'm about to say, but I'm listening very carefully to what you're saying. And he didn't feel like he could do all of these things that he explained to you with you, the woman he was married to for 27 years.
That's what my exact thoughts were. But at the time when he was telling me this, I was just like, initial shock. I was in shock. I was just looking at him like, this dude's having a nervous breakdown. I'm gonna let him speak, because I know whatever he got in his chest, he got to let it out. So I let him speak. I didn't interrupt. I didn't tell him what he wasn't feeling was not, you know,
valid.
Was not what he was feeling. Right, was not valid. I just sat there. And letting him just go. And the one thing that he did, and it kind of surprised me, but I'm just like, is when he was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. And I could tell him, like, I'm not kicking you out. Like, what's going on? Like, you're kicking yourself out. He's like, I gotta go. And he sat down. He put his hands on his face. He sat down, put his hands on his face. And he was like, I said, what are you doing? And he says, Charmaine, you know what? I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I honestly don't even know what I'm doing. So I said, okay, look. Because I know his intention was to leave. I said, look, you see that bag right there? Your gym bag. Put some clothes in there. Put your toothbrush and whatever else toiletries you need to put in there. Go to a hotel and figure out what you want to do.
Lord have mercy.
He did that. I told him, because I don't want nobody in this house that does not want to be here. But I don't understand, for me, for the life of me, and I didn't ever told him, like, well, what was it? Because once he left, he was like, I'm not coming back. The next day I was like, hey, did you sleep it off? Are you okay? Why does everybody think that I need to sleep it off? He's like, I'm going through stuff and everybody just thinks I just sleep it off. And I'm like, because it wasn't normal for him to just blame everything on, of course he complained all the time. This was for 27 years. This wasn't no 5 years, 2 years. he did that for the whole 27 years.
Oh,
So
wait,
it was not-
hold on. Time out. Time bloody out. So wait a minute. So the stuff that he was relaying to you about feeling like he didn't want to go on and he has all this pressure, he was saying this for the entire duration of y'all relationship?
The pressure, yes. The time that he wanted to end it, no. That was the week before he left.
So he felt the pressure
From the
for
whole
the
relationship, yes. Because
So-
he was in the military first, and he had pressure from the military. Then after that, he went to he worked in ICU. He had pressure, a little pressure. He enjoyed his work, but throughout the relationship, yes, that's why it's not like it's like music. You know how usually like you hear it and it like kind of gets like it's like music to your ear. It's like, okay, dude, you said this yesterday. You said this again and again and again, and it's like it became not only to me but to my mom, to his brother, his sister. So it wasn't a surprise to nobody that he was feeling this type of way as far as pressure and responsibilities and stuff, because he voiced it. He voiced it to everybody, to his family, my family. And so all these years, we never went on vacation. We never took a trip together because he was always worried about money. We never went, we went to dinner. That's about the only exciting thing that we ever did was just go to dinner and maybe go to the mall. That's what he thought was a nice, simple thing to do without too much. He wasn't like a lot of people person anyways, but still, like, he didn't want to really do too much. But now all of a sudden, the day that he was leaving, he was like, I want to be able to laugh again. I want to be able to be myself. And I'm like, dude, like, when did I never let you be yourself? Like, you've never had time to even be with me because you were too busy working. You were too busy providing. And I get it. And I get a man's responsibility as a man. I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you want to be a man and work your behind off until the wheels fall off, be by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just be by yourself.
There
Don't
are
drive.
Yeah, I was just there are a couple questions I want to ask you. But so I say, because there's somebody waiting to come up, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let Nikita come up and say what she has to say. And when she finishes, if there's no man that's coming up here, I need you to come back because there's something I gotta ask you.
Okay.
Because there's some things I want to know. But I'm gonna bring her up right now, and after she finishes, if there's nobody else, I need you to come back up.
Okay.
All right. Boy, this is getting very, very interesting. I had to jot down a couple questions I have for Miss Charmaine. Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How is everybody? I want y'all men to come up.
I know, right?
I say this every show. I'm a man. I am my daddy's first son. I say this every show. Listen to me and listen to me clearly. And I said this before. Sometimes when a man say no, he mean yes. Charmaine, you, your mom, his people, that was a child waiting to bust out. He was waiting to bust out and be a child. He was waiting to bust out to be a teenager, a young adult, and a man. He is living in the burdens of his father, the struggles of his father. Okay? He didn't have a life. And every time that man was telling you that he wanted to do this or he was complaining, he was crying out for help. Now that we got the history of this man, he probably had PTSD. His mental health has been gone since he was young. Gone. Do you hear me? And there is no amount of anything that in my body, everybody is different. Every time he said no, I would have defied him if I saw the stress on his face. Now, I listened to y'all And I listen to Kev, and I get it. A lot of men will put the families first, and that's why they end up with cardiac arrest or killing themselves. I just talked about this last night with Vulnerably Naked. Men of color, black men, all men are committing suicide left and right because nobody is listening to them. They already don't know how to express themselves, but they're calling out for help and nobody is hearing them. I'm about to start crying.
Don't cry, because I got to ask you something.
I'm mad. I'm mad as fuck. I'm mad. Because women can be so fucking selfish. And I'm not saying that about you, Sherman. I'm just saying in general. I'm just thinking about the whole thing. They can be so selfish. Some men as fathers, men are expected to be so fucking hard all the time. And then get soft, we call them pussies and punks. Excuse my language, but fuck that. These are the same men that you want to pay for. Make sure your hair done, your bills done, your kids taken care of. But y'all can't stop for a fucking minute and listen when they hurting. That man didn't want to work like that. He had to keep everybody up. That's what that was. And he was either going to die doing it or he had to goddamn go. And that's what he did. So he can have a life for himself and stop living for everybody else that's being selfish.
Let me ask you this, because we know that there are situations where every situation doesn't fit every situation. And what I mean by that is, you're right. A lot of times men are crying out for help, but I think Kelvin, I mentioned it earlier in the show. You do also have, and I'm not saying that Charmaine's ex was like this, but you do also have those men that are very intelligent with how they move. Meaning, when I've mentored young men and even adult men before, I try to find the root of everything. And a lot of actions tell more things than a person's word does. If someone is telling me, hey, let's just say, for example, I'm working 12 hours a day. If someone is saying to me, yo, I'm working 12 hours a day, this is too much. I need to get back to me. I need to find my happiness. If they're telling a woman this and they say, I have to leave in order to find my peace, and then they leave, but continue the same shit that they were doing before they left, then are you going to find your happiness, or you just didn't want to be with me?
It could be either or. I mean, I'm not saying, he or any of them. It could be something in them is not right.
Yeah.
It's not balanced. That's what I'm saying. Okay? And it's not anybody. It's something he has to work on for himself. But if he has somebody to support and to help him, it probably could have been helped a long time ago. You know what I mean? You have to pay attention to this stuff. That's what I'm saying. You have to pay. Nothing should be a shock unless, if the man was cheating, then I'd be like, okay, But if this man has the same routine all the time and he's telling you the same thing, people repeat stuff, most of the time repeat stuff over and over again because they want somebody to hear them. They're not just talking for their health. They want somebody to hear them and they want somebody to help them. Me being me, as I am, there's no amount of anything I would have just, listen, I can't, maybe it's because my stuff been so fucked up. So excuse me if I'm saying it wrong. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just thinking, but I, as an independent, codependent or whatever, I would have helped. I don't give a damn what he would have said. I would have said, look, sit down. If I saw him, he was red. If I saw him, like he was about to, sit your ass down. I got this. Now, if you want to leave after I said I was going to help you, then okay. But you're not going to just leave, be pissed off, and you doing all this talking. And it sounded like, to me, everybody was sick of it. But who sit him down? What's really going on?
And that's what I was about.
What's really going on? Because what if you had a walked in and he would have hung it for killed, or like you said, if you had kids and he would have took the kids with him, like Kev said, and jumped the fucking bridge with him. I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm sorry. Ain't nobody gotta like me no fucking more. I just don't. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I had, you know, my step nephew kill himself. I mean, it's stupid. Is what it fucking is.
And that's why some of my go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's why some of my questions are geared the way they are, because I've seen it as well. I've lived it. So some of the questions that I have, I'm one of those type people to where, and I think you do this a lot too, I try to peel and peel and peel until I can get to the root of why something is the way it is. And so
right, because somebody comes, but if somebody comes here and say, well, what did you do to help? You feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I ask 1,000, I look at you, I pay attention to every move you make. I know when something is off, doesn't do it, I get it. But if you love a person and you really want to help them and you really are with them, that's what you do. Women are stronger than men. I'm sorry, not physically, but mentally and most of the times we are very strong. Yeah. Look what our bodies do. I'm a doula. We push humans out our ass. You understand what I'm saying?
Doggone right. You doggone right.
You know what I'm saying? So we're built for that. Emotions and all that. We're built for that. Men aren't.
You right. I'm not.
Back in the day, slaves. You better not cry. And when they whoop their ass, you know, they got their backs cupping, you know, they tongues cut out their mouth. They better not show 1 ounce of emotion.
That's right.
This shit gotta stop. Don't make them no pussy. It don't make them no punk.
You
understand what I'm saying?
Because I'll cry in a heartbeat now.
I wish either one of my sons. Do you understand me? I'm really upset because it's done been. I tell y'all all the time. I done so much dumb shit. It's a wonder my sons ain't off. They will never be, because listen, I watch everything. When I sleep, I can feel there's something going on. That's how deep this shit is. And I am so sorry, because this is not like me. I am angry.
Nah, don't be sorry. I mean, my entire, like I said 1,000,000 episodes ago, my goal in life, one of my goals when I talk to people or when I have these discussions and stuff like that, is for everyone to get what they need to get out of it, whether they're getting it from somebody else, whether them speaking their truth helps them, or what they may have to say might help somebody else. It's all dialogue, and it all can be received and dissected and all of that good stuff. But I just know that I've seen and been, and like I said, and nothing I'm saying is directed at Miss Charmaine's ex, because I don't know that guy. I don't know that guy. But what I do know is red is red and black is black, and that doesn't mean that every man's conversation means a specific thing, because some of us can say we're hurt and actually be hurt. Some of us can say we're hurt and we're saying we're hurt because we know that it's going to evoke a certain kind of emotion from whoever we're saying we're hurt to. A lot of us can say we're hurt because that is going to open the door of exit that we need at the time. But I don't want to say what's in my head. I don't want to say, because I'd rather say it to Miss Charmaine, because it's part of the questions that I had for her. But I will say this: there are way too many men that truly are hurting and in bad spaces and they feel like rather have nowhere to turn.
Exactly.
Now, with saying that, it's hard for me. I'll just put myself in those shoes. I'll try to anyway. Because I've been in some dark spaces in my life before. It's hard for me to think that being who I am, being Salih, that I could go, and maybe he's stronger than me. I could not go 27 freaking years with feeling like I have a ton on my shoulders. I'm gonna break long before. I'm gonna break long before that during 27-year mark. Something is going to have to give.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it is sad, and it does. And like I said before, it used to anger me when certain things would go on, and then it started being more sad to me because I've been in a position to where I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody. I felt like I wouldn't be understood. I felt like, okay, these pressures are so much to bear. Maybe it'll be best if I'm not even here. I've been in those spots before.
These are cycles that we have to break. We got to grow up. We got to really grow up. Like we talk about, we want our men to be like they were back in the day when they were strong and they were doing this. How? We beating the hell out of them. If they cry, what you crying for? You're a punk. You know, they hurt. They want to talk. You know, I wish it was more Million Man marches. I wish it was more fathers and sons. I wish it was how women get together and they want to go on a girls' trip. Why these men can't do it? Y'all got to stop being scared. And I say y'all in general. Every woman, every parent is not like that. Stop listening to what these other people are telling y'all. Have feelings, express them. I might laugh at you for a minute, you know what I'm saying? Or what is going on? But seriously, 9 times out of 10, I want to know what is going on.
Yeah. And I might laugh at my doggone self. But I had to learn. I said there have been times where I've expressed and laughed at myself, but I had to learn that I was doing more damage to myself by holding it in than I was by expressing. And a part of that too is we have to learn who to express to.
Thank you.
Because sometimes that's more important.
If you're holding that in and you have sons or even daughters, they're watching everything you're doing.
Yep. That's right.
Y'all said that they're watching every move and they're learning this behavior. And imagine if you're a single mom. I can't teach a man how to be. I try my best. I swing my nuts too, the best I can. But at the end of the day, I feel this is what I want to ask men. Somebody, please, man. If you were raised by your mom, are you more emotional and sensitive? Do you trust yourself more? If your father was not in home, you were raised by your mom and she was nurturing. If you were raised with a 2-parent household and your dad was a general or he just didn't give a damn, does that also affect? You understand what I'm saying? Does that affect how you are?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Anybody? Go ahead.
I was raised in a 2-parent home. My dad cared, but he was like a general. You know, he didn't really express his emotions and stuff like that. And like I said, I had to unlearn a lot of stuff because I noticed in relationships, I was very hard and not expressive. And I found myself doing more of what he did. And that was showing love, but not speaking love. If that makes sense. I felt like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this. I'll take care of you. I'll be loyal to you. I'll be with you. That should be enough. You know what I mean? And it's not, you know, because I can remember the couple times when I was a kid when my dad said, I love you. I remember it like he said it yesterday. And what that tells me is that I needed that. I yearn for that. I hold on to those words. And that's why I probably, I mean, to some people on the outside looking in, they might feel like I tell my kids I love them too damn much because I'm constantly saying it. But yeah, it's Charmaine, please come on back up here so you can get these questions that I have for you. And I'm a try my best to give some guys some more time to come up. I mean, you can't force nobody to speak, but I'm really hoping that some men will come up here. Miss Nikita, did you just jump out of here before I could tell you bye? But yeah, hopefully some guys will come up here. Miss Charmaine, you come up here and get some of this work because I just have some questions. Hello? Hello? Okay, let me ask you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Now, a couple of questions I had. And after you answer these questions, I'll say, I'll tell you why I'm asking them or whatnot. But the first question I have is, how was it? Because you told me how it was through the 27 years of marriage with him feeling a certain kind of way from day one, right?
Right.
How was it in the dating stage?
So in the dating stage, he was actually going through a divorce when I met him.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the things that I should have let him be by himself first, because I always feel like when you stop dating or you're actually in marriages, he was married for 5 years.
Yeah.
And he just went from relationship to another relationship, and so yeah, it was the same. It was the same because when we dated, we didn't go anywhere. It was pretty much, he was in the military. So when he was in the military, he, worked his shift. Sometimes he did weekends, or he had to wake up early, late. And I wasn't living with him. Of course, I was still living with my parents. So, because I was only 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I was still living with mom and working. So dating was just pretty much going out to eat, just the same.
Yeah.
Nothing as far as like going on vacations. No, it was the same.
So was he active duty?
He was. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now when you say
he hated the military too. Huh?
Oh, okay. So when you say that he was going through a divorce when you met him. Mm-hmm. Now, after did you guys, and like I said, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, that's fine. But when you met him, did you guys start dating before the divorce, or like? And I'm asking because I want to know basically, did he? So he literally went from one relationship that he wasn't happy in and jumped literally right in your boat.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's like you said, then he had no time to kind of be to himself, heal himself, because I hear people talk about that all the time, that we can't bring, baggage into these new relationships and expect them to flourish.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I'm gonna say before he started his actual business, and a few years before that too, but pretty much I was helping him. I helped him. He was struggling when he was in the military, so I was helping him. I helped him get his first car. Well, not his first car, but I helped him get a car. I didn't even have a car, but I got him a car. I mean, it's just all kinds of stuff. I helped him get a car. He got a lot of stuff based off of my credit, because my credit is clean. I'm only 19 years old. He's already in military and established, so his credit is messed up.
Mm-hmm. So
everything, he was basing it off of me. So a lot of stuff that he was able to establish was because of me, and as we kept going on our relationship, he started, we started getting more. We lost some things. We gained some things, as you would when you're going through, your regular relationship. So we lost things, we gained things. And when he decided to start his own business, he stopped. He used to work in ICU, and so he stopped doing that. And I was the only one working. So I maintained the bills while he went to school. And he went to school and got his career going. And, you know, of course, when you're first getting your own business started, you know, it's a little slow.
Do you doggone right it is?
Pass out your own flyers.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't complain. I didn't say nothing to him like, you need to get you a job and you need to hurry up because these bills are stacking up. I didn't think, because he just said, be patient. The father said, be patient, because we're gonna be good. And I was like, okay, you know, I could not. What he was trying to do was I could see why he was saying be patient. I mean, I was going without, you know, I wasn't doing my nails, I wasn't doing my hair, and my friends at the job would say, they would literally tell me, what's your man? Your man ain't doing nothing for you. Look, you need to get your hair colored, where ain't your nails done? And I'm like, oh, and I would protect them. I'm like, oh, we got plans. So right now, it's not my priority. I'm good. I'm okay for right now. And they're like, no, you need to get you a man that can provide for you, because this is not right that you working, because it was my close friends. So she was like, it's not right that you're working and he over there going to school. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I'm going to be patient. I'm just going to wait it out and see how it works. And I had to kind of put a little light on hers, because I knew what me and my husband were trying to do at that time. So I kind of just had to just throw her anything so she can just be quiet and leave me alone, so that way I can continue working and do what I had to do in my relationship. He would use my car. He lost his car. And I had my car still. So he would drop me off at work while he went and used my car to go to school. And so he built his business. And once he built his business from the ground up, he was like, you know, just give me a few years and we're going to be good. You know, you can then start getting your nails done. Then you can start getting your hair done. I'm Mexican-American.
Yeah.
We are not like that type of people that like, oh, we need to get our hair done. I mean, that's just our culture. I'm not saying nothing about nobody else's culture, but that's just our culture. Like, we support our spouse on whatever decision that they want to make. We support them. I mean, and it's just in our blood to do that. So I didn't have to get it. He was like, let me save this much money, and once I save this much money, you can get your nails done, your hair. I'm like, all right. So because I'm married, it's not like we're doing much anyway, so we're not going places. So I just continue to support him through whatever he was leading us to, because of course at the end of the day, he is the man of the house, and I put my trust in him to because that he had a lot of faith, and he had a lot of faith on what he was trying to do for himself and for us. So I sat back and supported what he was trying to do for both of us, while I maintained, my job to be able to hold us up for that time frame. And as things started going on, he started building and building more clients, and more clients. And the money started coming up. We're saving. We're doing a little bit more. We're getting a little bit more. We're trying to remodel the house. And so it started looking, it started looking better, because we were struggling with just my income compared to his when he was in ICU. So it was a struggle. But after a while, we were able to build. And when we were able to build, we were able now to be able to do things where, not more him, but we will be able to buy, he will be able to buy his name brand, like his polo stuff.
Yeah.
Before, he wasn't too worried about wearing polo, because we need to make sure we got money in the house for our bills first. And then as we moved up, now he's able to buy himself polo boots or polo shirts and polo jeans or whatever. And I'm able to do my hair and I'm able to do my nails, but it came within time. It just didn't all of a sudden just happen that way, because he didn't have a business. And even when he was working in the ICU, we were still humble in our household, because we were trying to save money too. And his thing was always, we need to save money, because we don't know if Social Security is going to be here by the time we get old. So we need to be able to stack our money, so when we get old and retire, we can have a cushion. And that was his main thing. It wasn't for the now, it was for when we get old. That was his priority. Is, of course, making sure our bills were paid now, but it was more for the part when we get old and retire. He wanted to make sure we had a cushion to be able to retire and not have to worry about money. And
but when he was,
thing was, I want to retire at the age of 60.
But when he was in school, right? when he was going to school and you were the breadwinner, did he in those times was he saying, I'm stressed out, there's a lot on my plate, I feel the pressures of let's say going to school and not being able to give you what I think you deserve? I mean, were those stressors still there then, or did the stressors come once he had built the business and got established and you guys were in the marriage?
Well, it started when he was in the military. He got out the military. So all his stress was in the military. Then he got out the military.
How long was he in the military?
So you would think that was, I think it was 8 years, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay.
And somewhere around the 8-year mark. I'm really not sure because that was like when I was 19 years old. So I wasn't really like, it was like 8 years old. 8 years. So he was in the military. He was stressed out there. He left the military. That's when we moved to Georgia because we were in Texas. We moved to Georgia. And he was still working ICU. He decided that he didn't want to do ICU because that was stressful because just people, you know, when they pass away and stuff like that, and it's just really getting to him. So he was just like, you know what, I just can't do this no more. I want to start computers because that's something I enjoy. So it became something that he enjoyed at that moment. But yes, once the business grew bigger, then that's when the stress came again. I mean, he's always been a stressful type every day. He's just, that's his nature. He goes from 0 to 100 in a split in 1 millisecond. That's just how his personality is. But he's always stressed out. But it became more when the business grew more bigger.
And you said he's always been high strung?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. And I do not want the show to feel like I'm becoming a detective or thinking I'm interrogating you. But all of this falls in line with a man's thoughts. Now, just out of curiosity, what's his status now? I mean, what's he doing now? Outside of I'm pretty sure he's still running the business because that's his business, right?
Right.
But outside of that, is he to himself and running the business? Do you know whether he found that happiness he's looking for? Is he less stressed out? Or what's his status now?
Okay, so from the first time that I was on here, I really didn't get to finish.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna put this little twist to it, so that way you can kind of. My thing was more of focusing is with you and forgot the other guy
Kevin
on here, that you both were saying what is stuff that he was actually telling me. You know what I'm saying? So what you were both saying is nothing new to me or not that I've never heard of it, because he would express everything that was said. He was expressing. Now my twist on the whole thing was, and this is where it just was like, okay, this is just weird, is because, and it's not that I wanted to put it out there, but I guess I'm gonna put it out there anyway, is that he went on his vacation to Miami. He came back and he was complaining that his vacation didn't go good because people from companies were, calling him and stuff. And so I found some stuff on the luggage that I questioned him about.
Yeah.
That it had pretty much a female's name on the tag. And I'm like, who is this? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I told him, who is this? Like, why does it have a female on your tag, on the tag of your luggage? And he just was like, I don't know what you're talking about. American Airlines messed up. I mean, that's my luggage. I know that's your luggage. And it became that. But when I questioned that little specific tag, it all became I was almost like, this is too much for me. And this is where all the spill began, as far as this is too much for me. I've been working day and night. I want to live. I want to be able to. This is where all the me started coming out. I want to live my life. I want to be happy. I want to enjoy life. And I'm like, what? I'm talking to you about this name that's on this luggage that is a female's name on your luggage, but you twisted it a whole different direction about how now you want to live life you want to enjoy it. You're going to be 51. And I'm just like, I get that part. And it is valid because he has said it before that he don't get to enjoy life. It is valid. But we went from a name on the ticket to him wanting to be happy, and so it gave it a twist.
Well, let me Hope. I want you to write down that so. And this is, well, better yet, you ain't even got to write it down. I had somebody that was trying to come on, and I think it was a man, but he dropped down. Get back Satan now. Whoever that was, that's their name. They wanted to come up. If you could try to come back up, because I guess I didn't get there quickly enough. But so I want to hear what they have to say if they'll come back up. But it's I'm gonna tell you from a
one thing to your question.
To
answer your question really quick, I had called him a few times about the house when something would mess up or break, and I'm like, hey, you need to fix this because this and that, because he's still taking care of my house at this time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, this is messed up. I've been working long hours. I'm just overwhelmed right now. I forgot. I'm still working. So I call him for this stuff because we don't talk at all. No communication. The only communication is about the house. That's all he wants communication on, is about the house. Anything else, he don't want to hear about it. So when I do call him about the house, he's like, oh, I've been extremely busy. I've been working too much. I'm overwhelmed. Same story.
It's because it's because he's extremely checked out right now. But I'm gonna tell you from a man's point of view, because you said something very important that I'm gonna get to. So I'm gonna let Kev come back up right now and hear what he has to say. But I'm gonna call you back up because I want to touch on something that you said just now. And I'm gonna tell you what it means. Okay. All right. I'm gonna bring Kev up now. Whoo-wee. Y'all, this is good. This is darn good. What's going on, brother man?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, what up? Just to give my little overview, from when I dropped down to coming back up now. I hear everything Miss Charmaine is saying. At first, I was kind of a lot of this is self-inflicted. Like you said, like he's putting a lot on his. But then she started breaking down from his childhood, and I'm like, okay, even though I'm not in the same situation, he may be programmed to be this way. Bottom line. I'm kind of in the middle. When the other young lady came up, I forgot her name.
Nikita.
She dropped a lot of jewels. Yeah, Nikita. Yeah. She dropped a lot of jewels as well and it's kind of like, I'm not going to say fault, but it's kind of like we got to kind of split that blame between Miss Charmaine and her husband, because I'm on Nikita's side. Like, I see you struggling. I see you saying a lot of this stuff that I first thought was self-conflicted, but when she went to breaking down his history, I'm like, I'm kind of with her on that. He is crying out for help. He's telling you, and he, just like you said, you wouldn't have went through all those years. A lot of us are not built that way. Mm-hmm. But I may go a little bit like, nah, I got it. I'm good, or whatever. But he's going to the wire with it. Nah, I'm good. I'll do everything. Now, I feel like Charmaine should have been like, you know what? No, I literally see you stressing. Go sit your behind down somewhere. I'm doing this or whatever. Oh, you know what? We're gonna take this weekend off. We're going on a vacation. We cut that phone off, leave that phone home. And I mean it. Because I know my wife tell me that I ain't finna just keep chomping her off. No. Okay, I got you, boo. But on his part, he gotta be a little bit better too. You see yourself struggling. We gotta do a little bit better too. Stop self-sabotaging yourself at the same time. I get it. We go through structure where we feel like, tag, you're it. But at the same time, don't drag yourself to the grave, my brother. You got a woman there that's capable of helping you out. Me personally, I'm not going to let nothing kill me. I'm going to make sure I got everything straight. But go ahead.
And let me ask you this, because and And I will say this again. At no point am I trying to discredit or downplay what someone has going on. But if there's one thing that I am, everyone that truly knows me knows that above anything else, I'm a realist. I see things for what they are and I say what they are. Now, for one, I hear you when you say, you know, your wife can say, hey, no, babe, you're gonna slow down, you're gonna do, and you're gonna listen. How many of us as men, especially when we're in positions where we feel like we're taking care of everything and we've put that on our shoulders, how many of us honestly truly listen to our women when they say slow down and sit down? It's a select few. It's a select few. Now, I'm going to say this by George because I wouldn't be me if I didn't say it. And Charmaine, if you're listening, when you come back up, you can address what I'm about to say. If you like, I was trying to save it for you, but doggone it, I'm busting at the seams. I'm going to say it. Dude, it's not a coincidence that he felt stressed for 27 years. He said this was a lot of pressure. It's not a coincidence that 27 years worth of pressure didn't get too much to bear until you questioned him about another woman. I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, I've been a male for 46 years of my life. And I haven't always, from the age of, society deems us a man at 18. From the age of 18 to 46, I haven't always been an honorable man. So I feel like I can say this. There are certain things that we do as men to shift that energy when we know that whatever the woman is coming at us with has some truth to it. If you're telling me, if you asking me about a woman on my luggage and it's nothing to it, and I know it's nothing to it, why does that make me now want to leave my wife of 27 years? But if you're asking me about a woman on my luggage that I'm dealing with, and I kind of want to go that way anyway, then guess what you just did? You just gave me a doggone excuse to go on and get up out the door. I ain't got to put up with that. You questioning me when I'm doing A, B, and C. I've been taking care of you for 27 years. I got all this pressure on me, and you questioning me about a woman. Oh, I can't take it no more.
You already got one foot out the door and one on the banana peel.
Bruh, so, foot out the door.
That was a straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, or so I say. It sounds good that it's the straw that broke the camel's back. Men aren't. Now, we have some ignorant ways sometimes, but men aren't as stupid as people try to paint us out to be. We well think out some stuff. Now, granted, as far as when we get to talking about cheating and stuff like that, I mean, there's some men are good at it, some men aren't, just like anything else. But the one thing I do know for certain is that a man will switch energy on a woman real quick when he's trying to find a way out. And that way out doesn't always mean that the woman has done something wrong. Most men, if you catch, and you can take 10 men, right? You could take 10 men. If all 10 of those men are cheating, you might, and I'm being generous, you might have 2 out of the 10 that are really remorseful, and yep, you caught me, I was wrong, da. But at least 8 of those jokers gonna find some kind of way to make the woman feel like it was her fault.
Yeah.
And he gonna bounce. And he gonna bounce. It's just hard for me to believe that it was, and by me saying it's hard for me to believe, that doesn't mean it's not so. I'm not saying the brother didn't really go through this stuff, because there are a lot of pressures that we have as men that people don't understand but us. But it's just, it's hard for me to believe that it was on 100 for 27 years. And the thing that made you decide that you wanted to find your happiness and you couldn't take it no more was your woman finding another woman's name on your luggage. That's way too convenient.
Not at all. I mean, I agree with you 100% on that.
Now, do I feel like he needs some help and he needs to talk to somebody and get some stuff off and heal? Yes, I do. Because I can't say that for 27 years the man lied about being stressed out and stuff, because that's a long ass lie to keep. So he probably was stressed out. There probably was things that he had on his plate that he just didn't know how to juggle and stuff like that. It happens. It happens.
I
But
believe he was stressed out as well, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
you
I
good?
believe that most of it was self-conflicted because he didn't know how to do anything other than what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe they should have sought counseling, and he should have tried to maybe learn a little bit on how to rely on her, how to be more of a partnership other than him taking on the whole entire load. But like the young lady was saying earlier, like, the woman has to kind of sense that as well.
Yeah.
You've been together for going on 30 years. I know he about to die. You know what? Listen, I got you, you know, and the man, but just like you said, how many men listen? We got to do our part too.
Yep.
You know what, baby? You right. This work is killing me. Let's just chill this weekend. You right. So it's kind of it's on a both part type thing. But you said how many men listen? It's to each his own. Now, strike one, my woman might be like, boy, you need to sit down somewhere. Nah, I got this going. I got it. You know, I got to make sure y'all straight. Strike two, boy, I'm telling you, listen, boy, you falling asleep at the wheel. Nah, I got it going on. She's going to say, boy, put that phone down. That's just my woman.
Yeah.
Put that phone down, boy. Listen, boy, you ain't finna kill us in this car. Or you ain't finna.
Yep.
We go on a lot of vacations. And boy, she get livid when I don't work, go on vacation, and I'm in the hotel during the daytime to sleep. She can't stand that. And I gotta be selfless enough to say it's kind of like a pie chart. Like 95% of his pie chart was just work, let me get this done. You gotta cut some of that. Like, you gotta be able to say, okay, 60% work, but listen, you got a family.
Yeah.
You don't live like that. Go be by yourself.
That's right.
But that ain't how it works, because most women ain't gonna keep this. The women I know, nah, big dog, you at a point the way you gonna have to choose. I'm not here just to be here. Now, women deal with a lot. Like she was saying, women are very strong. They deal with a lot, but you gotta know how to compartmentalize that to a certain extent. The woman gotta put that bug in here. No, sit down. I got it. And we got to be willing to be a little bit more vulnerable. Babe, you know what? Work is killing me. Even if we got to cry a little bit.
Yeah.
On the shoulder. So we got to learn to be a little bit more vulnerable. And, boy, we do go through hell. We got the stress of everything on us. So the woman got to know, hey, I'm a partner as well. I'm in it just as well as him.
And that's what
I think it's on both parts.
Yeah, and that's what goes into, that's why it's so important that when we get in these relationships, we take the time to actually know who we're with. And that's why I asked the questions on, okay, how was he in the dating stage? And, you know, from what she said, he didn't take the time to get to know him. This man was doing what he was doing from a child. Then that jumped into the military. Then that jumped to a darn marriage. Then that jumped straight into another relationship. So he didn't take that doggone time. He didn't take the time. And a lot of times we're so wanting to be with who we're with that we don't think long. We think long term when it comes to money and when it comes to what we want to acquire, but we don't think long term with, okay, what is this person dealing with, or what have they dealt with that's going to affect how we are in this long term?
Right.
How is that going to affect how we communicate? How is it going to affect how I understand this person?
Including your childhood, the way you were brought up, the way your beliefs, the way you you might be extremely irresponsible. You might be the type that you're gonna leave us out to dry. You know, you
Yeah.
definitely got a bet. You know, like
But
how were you while we were dating? Just like that.
yeah, but I say this, like I said, I do feel like he had some serious issues that should have been dealt with even before that first marriage, that should have been dealt with. But hindsight is normally 2020. That's neither here nor there at this point. But I will say this, and I'm probably saying this because that doggone Duce is feeling real good now. That trip to Miami wasn't a business. It was a business trip, but it wasn't the kind of business trip that he said it was.
That was a missus trip.
That joker, there you go. That was a freaking missus trip. That bad boy was doggone dipping his Chico stick in the doggone vanilla pudding, if you know what I'm saying. Now,
Right.
that part of it was very convenient for him to say, because what he probably wanted to say but didn't say was, how dare you question me about being with another woman when I've given you this life that we're living? Because a lot of men, especially men that have financial power or stuff like that, a lot of them feel that way. They feel like if I'm giving you a good life, then you're going to let me do whatever I want to do. I don't have to answer to you. You know what I mean? You living good. So if I want to do what I want to do, that's how I'm releasing. A lot of guys feel like that. It's not to say that that's right, but that's a little bit into the mindset of how some of these guys operate. So there's a lot of, if we can call it blame, there's enough blame to go around because, you know, we have to see the warning signs in our partners. We have to see the warning signs in our friends. We have to be bold enough to say, look, I understand you're saying A, B, and C, but I love you enough to not want you to crash out. Now, that's not to say that they're going to listen to you every time, because anybody that's ever dealt with anybody like that, because I've dealt with some of them, sometimes they don't listen. And all you can do is try. Doggone it. But
and I want to come up just to kind of put my 2 cents in. If anybody else don't want to come up, definitely. Like I said, I'm here to the end, man. But
oh yeah, Miss Charmaine got to come back up because darn it, I let out a lot of stuff that about old boys. I mean, I'd love for you to come back up, Charmaine, and say, you know, whether you feel like what I said was wrong or if you kind of think that's what it was too. But my main thing was, the first thing that tickled my temple was the fact that she said that for 27 years he's felt this way. That in itself to me sounds like torture. That sounds, I would hate to think that for that amount of time, I can only imagine the kind of pressure that is. But at the same time, like you said, Kev, we have to be accountable as well, because there's only so much that we can lean on when we say we're doing A, B, and C because of this. Now, being stressed out and working hard has nothing to do with a woman's name being on my luggage. You know what I mean? Because come on, that's why I say too, what is he doing now and stuff like that? Because if you're still doing the same things that you were doing when you were with me, then that tells me what you were saying wasn't the real issue. I was. You just didn't want to be with me.
And to each his own, but I heard her say, and I'm not bashing at all, I heard her say, like, throughout the week, we wouldn't even talk, you know, until sometimes on the weekends. I'm like, regardless of how much I'm working, like when I come home at night, we might not get in deep conversation, but I ain't finna let nothing. I got a saying I tell the kids at school a lot too. I don't let nothing or nobody come between me and my family or me and my money. I'm not finna let the stress of work have me. I don't talk to my wife till on the weekend. Now that seemed to be getting fishy for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's but I'm gonna drop you down real quick, Kev. I'm wanting Charmaine to come up and give her last spiel on this. But yeah, keep listening, brother. Okay, Kev has dropped down. Charmaine, you're up next. And I'm still waiting on some guys to come up here too, if you like, because I'm probably gonna I have family duties as well. And the kids, I hear them running around too. And the Duce is working on me. So I'm gonna give it about 30 more minutes and I'm gonna clip it. So if y'all want to come up, now's the time. Miss Charmaine is coming up now. And thank you to everybody that's in here listening too. I hope it's edification for you. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. Go on and curse me out.
So I'm listening to the part where it's like you didn't, like as far as like you should have asked him if he was okay, or my husband's a special type of person where I would ask him like, hey, let me help you. When I did, it would be an argument. It would be, what, you don't trust me? I'm handling everything. And I'm like, it's not that I trust you. I just, let me know how to do stuff so that way if you're not here or you're busy, I can do it for you. And he was like, that means you don't trust me. So what's a relationship without trust? But that doesn't mean I don't trust you. I just want to help you. So he would then turn into, I don't trust him because now I want to take over certain situations, certain things. But he's like, but if I give it to you, it's going to stress you out. So I'd rather just do it. Or it would become an argument. Or if I ask him like, hey, are you okay? I'm fine. Well, you don't look fine, because I would tell him that. Well, you don't look fine. I'm fine, Charmaine. And I'm like, okay, well, let me go a different room because he's a little irritated right now.
Yeah.
And so when it was always that type where I would be like, he had his moments. But when he had his moments, it's like, don't talk to this dude because he is like, and then he'll tell me, like, if you keep asking me what's wrong, then you're going to make me upset because you keep asking me. And I'm telling you nothing's wrong, but you could see it. And so I'm just like, okay, Charmaine, leave it alone because it ain't even worth it. It's not worth me getting stressed out and mad because he don't want to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'll go to another room, watch my TV, and then that's it. Now it doesn't mean my husband now to the other twist. My husband's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He was not a violent guy. He took care of me and my family. He did everything for us and his family. He's a good guy, but he did work a lot. So I'm not taking nothing from him, the type of person he is, because he is a good guy. And when he left, I told him, I said, you know what, I want nothing but the best for you because you are a really good person. That's why I stayed with you for all this time. Because, boy, when I tell you, there's times where I'm like, oh my God, this dude right here, like, it's a lot. But I stayed because he wasn't a bad person to me. Mm-hmm. He never, he didn't yell at me. He didn't, he supported me. He was a really good guy. And that's why I stayed for 27 years. And he stayed it too because he would even come in home and tell me, he was like, my friends having problems with their wives. And I always tell them, man, I got me a good wife. She don't never complain. She's not the person that spend money because he said that their friend's wife be purchasing bags, $800 bags. And he was like, my wife's nothing like that. I don't never have to worry about her spending that much money. She spends what she wants, but she's frugal with her stuff. And he's like, I don't never have problems with my wife. And he would always come and he would always tell me, he tells that to his friends, and his friends, they be complaining to him. He was like, I never have no complaints with you. I don't ever have complaints with you. And so for him to say that, at the end, it was just like a shock. I get, the stress part, the work part. And when I tried to tell him, I could sit there and be like, no, you know what? No, stop it right now. Like, this is what we're going to do. Oh, that guy right there will be like from 0 to 100 back. Like, I'm a grown man. If this is what I want to do, Charmaine. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So leave me alone. I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do. And I'm like, well, I'm just saying, like, no, I'm fine. This is what I want to do. Or if I tell him, hey, you know what? You know, you're working too much. You know, it's already 12. You know, man, I got to work. And, you know, I'm like, well, you know, you might want to rest. I know what I'm doing. You ain't got to be questioning what I'm doing or telling me what I need to do. I'm a grown man, Charmaine. Like, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. And that's what he would do. So a lot of times I would tell him, and once he started getting, I felt his little temperature rising. I'm like, oh, let me just go to another room and watch TV because I'm about to make things even more stressful, because that's how it made it seem like he was already stressed. I questioned him, or I would tell him, hey, you know, you need to stop. Oh, no, he wasn't having it. If any other female would be trying to tell him, you need to stop right now, oh, this dude would be like, excuse me?
You know what I
How
found
about
out?
you take this job, and how about you earn the money? How about you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and I don't want to take nothing from him, because that only happened when I would question him, or when I would tell him, no, you know what, you need a rest, or you need a vacation, or that only happened at those particular moments. But any other time, you know, he was fine. We were, you know, he was not a bad person. You know, we'll walk and he'll be like, you know, hey, I gotta go do this, oh, okay, and just like a normal, regular relationship. But when it comes to telling him something, to do something different from what he's doing that particular moment, oh, that was a whole argument. That would be a whole different level. And a lot of the times I just avoided it because I'm a drama-free person.
Yeah.
I don't want that drama. It's for me, it's not good to have drama in my house, because now things will come out my mouth that I'm not going to be happy to say at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, with this thing, the little ticket I found, and then with him leaving because of what he claims he left for, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? This is what he decided to do, regardless of which one it was, regardless of the ticket, or regardless of because he wanted to be happy because of his stress being from work.
Nah, Shouty, it was the ticket. It was the ticket, Shouty. Let me tell you.
What was the ticket?
Yeah, let me tell you what I found out. I'm gonna tell you what I found out in my 87 years of walking this planet. What I found out is there are a world full of good people, but that does not mean that those good people mesh with other good people. You can always find out if a person is truly into you the way you think or want them to be into you by what they do. That's why, and I'm speaking from personal experience now. There have been times where I have thought that I was in love, and then when something popped off, it was very easy for me to leave. So I had to be honest with myself and say, okay, I didn't love this particular person the way I thought that I did. Because if I did, there was a lot of situations that I would have worked on. There was a lot of situations where I would have worked on me. I would have loved the person that I was with enough to work on me in order to make it work. But when it's easy to leave a situation, and whether you say it's easy or not, when it's not easy, you don't just darn bounce, period. So if there was a situation where Salih could leave and not think about it again, because I had a lot of situations like that, that's what let me know I don't love this woman the way she thinks that I love her and the way I said I loved her, because you can't. So when to say, I know you say, oh, well, you don't know whether it was the stressors or the situation where he got caught with the luggage. I can tell you for almost a certainty, and I'm not a prophet, but for almost a certainty, it had nothing, him leaving you had nothing to do with him being stressed about that freaking job. It had more to do to, by the time that you saw what you saw and questioned him about it, he was already looking for a way to be up out of there. He was already gone. He might have not been gone physically, but he was already gone mentally. And just like I've heard a lot of women say, when they leave relationships, they've left the relationship before they physically leave the relationship.
Right.
And so men can do that too. What he needs though is, and I'm no doctor, but what the man needs is some Wendy's strawberry lemonade mixed with some Douce and a long talk.
You don't drink.
Well, he might need to start. And a long talk with a professional. And he needs to forget about being with somebody in a connected type way. Because I mean, we all have needs as human beings, but as far as forming a relationship, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done with him so he can have that happiness before he gets with a woman. Because if you're not happy and then you get with somebody thinking that happiness is going to come after the fact, that's not how it works.
No. And that's what my thing for coming up here was, because I get it. You know how men are stressed from working, because I saw it. You know? And it's just that, and like how you said, kind of, I get it, and I sympathize with that, because men do have a lot of stress. They do have a lot of stress as a man, and I wouldn't want to be no man, because I don't want that.
And I don't want to be no woman, because I'm telling you.
So, but you all do go through a lot of stuff, just as women do go through women's stuff as well.
Yeah.
But men do go through a lot and have a lot of pressure as well. So I don't discredit like a man, or as far as what it is. And so that's why I was like, I heard that a lot coming from him, but just a little twist at the end is what caught me like, wait a minute. And so but I never took that away. I never said, and to this day, like how you said, as far as the ticket, it was that was the camel that broke the back, whatever, the straw that broke the back.
That wasn't the straw. That wasn't the straw. Don't you do that. That was not the straw. That was the open door. That opened the door.
Right. But I still have sympathy for him, for the overworked part, the stress part, and it because I get it, because I saw it.
Yeah.
For a long time, I saw it. So I still sympathize for that specific part of him.
Because it's a fact. I mean, it happens. That's why I said I'm pretty sure that he did have a lot of stress and stuff like that. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But
so I mean, men do have it bad.
But we as men, there are a lot of things that we need to do, and we could talk forever about that. But we can't. How can I say this without sounding insensitive? I don't know. The Douce gonna say it. The Douce talking right now. But we as men can't use those things as excuses, because there's a fine line between reality and an excuse. And sometimes, I don't know about women, but sometimes we as men purposely ride that line. We purposely do it because we understand. Don't think that we don't understand that you all have that nurturing spirit, and you all have that spirit where you want to fix, and you all have that spirit of where empathy just pours out of you like Kool-Aid on a Saturday morning. We understand all of that. And some of us, not all, some of us will use that to our advantage. We'll use that to our advantage. I have Miss Kristen, I hope I'm saying that right, Kristen Brown, Charmaine. She wants to come up, so let's see what she has to say. And it's 10:45 now, so I'm gonna try to go to about 11, unless I get a plethora of people that want to come up. Then we'll just keep it going. But thank you for sharing your story and being transparent, because a lot of people wouldn't be as forthcoming as you have been. So I really appreciate you.
Yep, no problem.
All right, let's get Miss Brown up here. Y'all, I'm loving this. This is very informative. I'm learning some things, and hopefully you guys are too. How you doing, Miss Brown?
Hi there. I just got in, but I already love the topic so much. And I'm going to preface what I'm going to say with I grew up with all brothers, and I know the male psyche pretty darn well. And I coach a lot of men as well. So I've gotten into like the nitty gritty of things. And I love everything that I'm hearing you say so far. And I agree with that. The one thing I wanted to add is that sometimes men, because they're not all, are nothing I say is an absolute. Let's just put that on the table. Okay?
Yeah.
But some men are not as in touch with their emotions, and they tend not to share what's going on inside. And so we're not privy to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they take all that stress and they blow that on us, and we're standing there like, did something happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's the first point I want to say. So as part as getting everything together in a relationship, I believe that communication is utmost, vulnerability and honesty. Talking about if you've got a male or female, if you've got a partner that cares about your heart, that cares about your well-being, trust them that they will help you through, especially if it's a female. Like you said, we bleed nurturing like Kool-Aid or whatever you
Yeah,
said.
she is.
Right? It's like, trust your partner that she's got your back.
Mm-hmm.
And that she wants to help you through the stress. Now, not all women are like that. Again, no absolutes. But if you've got someone like that, reach out, be vulnerable, take that chance, because men are taught to not be vulnerable for the most part, right? Don't
That's
have
right.
emotion. Don't be sad. Don't be a pussy. Don't be all of these things, right? So they tend not to. But yet, if they find themselves in a space where your woman can hold that for you, let her help you through it.
That's right. And that's sometimes, like you said, a lot of times that's the hardest thing for us to do for various reasons, the pride, the not wanting to look weak, and sometimes it's just the fact that we just don't know how to do it. Either we didn't see it or we weren't taught how to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of people in general are getting their healing at the later stage of life, once they've already paved the road with so many hiccups and so much. Not only are we damaging ourselves, but we're damaging all those that are connected to us on this journey.
Yes. And I will say, as a coach, I'm seeing a lot, because there's so much more out in the world right now. King Shid, is that how I say your name?
Yes, King Shid.
Or do I call you King? Okay.
That works too.
Okay, I'll just say King, it's easier. Gratefully, there's been a lot of, negative press around social apps and things like that. But the truth is that what I'm finding as a coach and a mentor, that men are getting more access to this type of talk. So they're starting to see, because I'll coach a lot of guys that are married in their 20s, and they're wanting it because they're hearing more about it, where my age range did not.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a thing. These things were not talked about. So I'm hopeful that there's going to be a shift, and it's not just the women talking about their emotions and things like that, so that there can be greater healing. Because, for me, even with me, my age, it took me till 42 till I had the Mac Daddy of betrayals to finally hit my knees and say, God, what the belief is going on here? Why do I keep attracting this type of thing? But it is that openness to our pattern, recognizing the pattern and going, okay, this is a pattern I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the common denominator here. What can I do to heal my stuff so that I start to have a different experience? So I do hope that my hope and my prayer is that people, the guys, start to understand that their emotions are not bad, no matter what society said, no matter what their bullying father, friend, coach, whoever said, right?
Mm-hmm.
That emotions are not bad. They're 100% serving. They're actually as serving to us. The emotional guidance system is as important to us as the cardiovascular system, neurological system, all the skeletal system. It's a system put into place for a reason to guide us about what's working, what's not working. So when people in general, male and female, can get in touch with their emotions, then the real conversations can happen.
Yes. I'm extremely hopeful in that as well. I always say that I want everything that I discuss or to be a part of to help people in general, but I really, really want more men to not only get in touch with their feelings, but to do that healing that it just flows down. You know, it flows to their partners, it flows to their colleagues, it flows to their children, and that's the only real way that we'll get to this point where, because everyone says they want peace, they want happiness, they want to feel safe. The only way we're going to get to that is when people start being more vulnerable, when people start being more transparent, when people start taking care of themselves in more ways than one. And there's a reason why, if you follow the Bible, I'll say that God gave Adam Eve. It was for more reasons than just to have somebody to talk to and have sex with and procreate. We need one another. There's certain things that I can't handle on my own. There's certain things that you can't handle on your own.
Yes. I'm in 1000% agreement with that. I'm just sitting here shaking my head. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. And
I've given many talks on here in the beginning. You know, I've been in here since right after beta.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what beta was, so I didn't do beta. But basically from November from the beginning. And if people scroll back in my talks, I don't remember the name of those talks, but I talk about a man's heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the more that we can bring to the awareness of a man's heart, that they are no different than females.
Yep.
We all feel shame. We all feel embarrassment. We all feel the plethora of emotions that happen. But men tend to, like I said, generally walk around stoic.
Yep.
And also men, this is actual proven fact, like a scientific or biological fact, that men go in and out of emotions more faster than we do. So they have that feeling, and they go in, they go out, where we tend to hang out in those emotions and roll around in them.
Yep, I can agree with that.
You know, we've got to, you know, as women, I feel like, and this is not to say, you guys, that this is all our fault, or we're in charge of it all, or it's all up to us. That's not what I'm saying. It takes two to tango.
Yep.
But as women, when we start to understand a man's heart, like truly understand a man's heart, and you can start to have those conversations with him, if you provide a safe place for him,
mm-hmm.
he is going to show up. He's going to show up because he's going to go, this is that safe place. This is why men do crave the sacred feminine.
Yes.
Because they crave that safe place. So but again, like you were talking about, King, if they're, you know, really mortally wounded, which, by the way, we're all the walking wounded.
Yeah.
We're all the walking wounded. But if they are not in touch with those emotions and they're not really aware of their wounding, then they can wreak a lot of havoc.
Oh my goodness,
just
yes.
Like anybody can.
Yep. I just have to say that right on, sister.
I'm gonna mute. There's a helicopter.
Well, I totally agree with what you said. I appreciate you coming up. I have John Bush that I'm gonna bring up now. And Miss Brown, please continue to listen. I followed you, so I'm definitely going to go back and listen to some of your talks. And please come back anytime. I totally appreciate you, and I agree with everything you said. And we're going to get on.
It was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for bringing up this very, very important conversation.
Thank
you for having me.
You're very welcome. Now let's get John Bush up. Let's see what he has to add to the conversation. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm good. You?
Hey, I can't complain at all.
I hear you. You know, I've been listening. I've been kind of going in and out of the conversation, and you know, what comes to me, I think collectively, and I would say socially here in America, when it pertains to just like gender, I think sometimes we have the wrong approach. I think, if we was to first understand gender in itself, and how it came to be traditionally, and then kind of move forward with that, I think that the approach will be a little bit more different than the way it's being approached today. And what I mean is that we like to approach each other in terms of gender, like what a man is supposed to be doing and what a woman is supposed to be doing, or how a man is supposed to act and how a woman is supposed to act. And those are according to the traditional ways we have set for ourselves socially. But that has underlying principles to that as well. Now, as we grow as human beings, we change these things. So now, for me, on terms of how a man is supposed to be and how a woman is supposed to be, it was stated earlier that we're one and the same with human beings. For me, when it comes to being a man, it's okay to identify me as a man. I'm pretty much solid as to knowing that I'm a man, and that's where I'm at as a being. So I don't need anybody outside of me. And then even if one was to come to me and say, "Oh, you need, just because you didn't do this, you're not a man, or just because you expressed this in that way, you're not a man," I'm pretty much solid, and I'm like, I already know I'm a man, so you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
I think that once we solidify ourselves and identifying ourselves of what we are in the first place, then this whole what a man is supposed to be doing and what a woman is supposed to be doing type of gender war going on, it wouldn't be so much of an impact. And for me, as a man, I want a woman to approach me as she is for me. Like, if I'm in a relationship, don't look at me as what a man's supposed to be doing. Look at me as what I am, or who I am as a person, as a character. You know what I mean? Like, if a woman is in a relationship, go, "Oh, you're a man, you're doing this. You're a man, you're supposed to be doing this." I don't want to hear none of that. Because I'm a full man, and you don't need to tell me. You know what I mean? Like, I know where I'm at.
Yep.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to be a woman and what you're supposed to be doing as a woman. You should be feeling comfortable with being a woman in yourself. So I'm not going to sit here and do all that.
Yeah.
So I think, like, even as a man, even when we do express ourselves, say you're in a relationship, we ain't heard. So what makes you want to think we want to continue to communicate? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of times where I think men communicate, we talk. We actually communicate our needs. Is that when we do express it, we ain't really being heard, because no matter what, like, from my experience with some women, no matter what they say, some women still cling on to the traditional ways. Yeah. Like, "Oh, you a man, you ain't supposed to be really saying that. You ain't really supposed to be emotional like that." I know there's a lot of women out there that support an emotional approach, but a lot of women get turned off by it with reason, right? Like, if a man is very emotional at all times, and then they're going to be like, they're going to be kind of turned off because socially they think that's what they're supposed to be doing, So I think, like, for me as a man, there's multiple times where I've communicated. Where you don't get communication anymore is when it's not actually that communication isn't reciprocal. Like, if I'm communicating to you and then you want to argue, try to twist and turn and make something out of it when I'm actually expressing myself, then I ain't gonna communicate to you no more like that. And this is where it seems like to the woman, "Oh, he ain't communicating, la la la." It's like, look, I already tried. You know what I mean? Then it ended up being an argument. So I'm shutting down now. You know what I mean? So I think, like, that's how it can happen. Not all men are like that. Not all women are like that. But that's how it could happen from my experience. But I think if we set the groundwork on principles across the board, no matter the gender, I think we'll start connecting a lot more. Yeah. Now there's a lot of principles that's switching up a lot. Nobody knows what's going on. And when we try to click together, it's like, "Oh, this is what a man's supposed to do, and this is what a woman's supposed to do." And with that, there's like a collage of listing things of like, oh, it's changing over time. So now we're trying to match up with each other, but yet we're still pointing fingers at each other at a traditional standpoint. It's confusing. Like nobody knows what's going on. And a lot of time you get double standards. You get people just trying to twist stuff, manipulate, and try to benefit from it. You know, as a man, even me, as I'm like out dating and talking to women, they use traditional ways as like such of an entitlement to them. Like, I'm the woman, you're supposed to be doing this, open doors, catering to me, taking me dine and wine, et cetera, et cetera. But when you want that traditional reciprocal energy, they go, nah, you can't get that because times have changed and, you know, you need to start doing your own stuff and blah, blah. It's just like, wow, really?
Yeah.
We don't get that same traditional reciprocal energy back, but you want that traditional, you want that treatment as it happened traditionally, right? So it's just like it switched up to benefit them at sometimes, you know, but I don't know. I'm just speaking my mind right now.
Oh, hey, I totally get what you're saying. And I've even spoken on other platforms before to where it goes exactly to what you're saying. With a lot of times we have people that want traditional actions while being modern moving, meaning that sometimes they separate and say, okay, I want to be modern, but I want you to treat me traditionally without me treating you traditionally. And a lot of times that's how it's flowing. And I think that's why there is such a war, so to speak, like you said, between men and women. And it's unfortunate that it's like that, but we have to try to bridge that gap in any way that we can. And with the, I don't need anyone telling me what a man should do and shouldn't do. And just like I'm sure a woman doesn't want a man to tell her that. And to your point about the being emotional, I think that a lot of women, I think most women want a man to be able to express himself and be emotional. I think the problem comes with, I think women only have an issue with that when the man's emotion causes him to stop, quote unquote, being what he was, being the man. Now, when you can be emotional and pour out your feelings to a woman, but still walk in that leadership role and still be able to do the protecting and providing like you want to do, or like you have been doing, then I don't think they'll have an issue with that. But the problem is that sometimes these women get in these situations where they may run across somebody that once they got emotional and opened up, they stopped in their tracks. They allowed that to stop them from protecting, providing, being that leader. And that's where the issue came, because then they started viewing everyone through those lenses. And where it should have just been that particular situation. Okay, you were with a man that allowed his emotions to override what he was to you, and it's not all men. And I think a lot of times, I don't think men do that as much as women do, and that's no slight to women, but I think men can go through a situation with a woman, and when they get to the next woman, for the most part, they can leave what happened in that previous relationship where it is. Whereas a lot of times, depending on what the hurt was, a lot of women have this cautious thing now, to where now that they're in another relationship, they still kind of hold on to some of that stuff. And I say this because I was in a situation like that before, where a woman told me after the fact, you know, when it didn't work out, that a lot of the stuff that was happening in our relationship, she was holding on to stuff that happened in a previous relationship. Okay, well, when my ex-husband said that he was going to play pool, he was actually out cheating. So when you said you wanted to play pool, it triggered something in me, and I just figured that you were doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, like from I'll like to say it was from my experience from seeing somebody else. Like for me, I've never been to at a point where a woman looked at me as, you know, oh, you being overly emotional right now. I've seen relationships, you know, play out that way. But I also think that when it comes to a man expressing, some women don't know how, and some women are clueless, and some women are just strictly have this wall up where they don't get offer the vulnerable space to not just the man but to that person. Like if you care about that person enough, you offer them that space of vulnerability. You don't keep fighting back or complaining, or I don't know. You offer that space up for that person to be able to express themselves. And I think that goes, you know, across the board. It doesn't matter the gender. And if you're in a relationship and a woman is triggered due to her past, then that has a lot to do with her going down the line of processing what happens. I don't think it's fair. I don't care what gender it is. It's not fair for a person to go through something in the past and put what happened on the past onto somebody else that's new. I don't care what the gender is. If you're in a relationship and a person is treating you or you get triggered because of something happened in their past, then I think y'all should work it out together, or that person should work it out, you know, with themselves, because at that point, it's no longer a relationship. It's that person with a relationship with that person in the past.
Yeah.
And that is in, you know, that has to go somewhere, you know, that has to be processed. But that's just my point of view, you know, but I don't know. I could be wrong, but I've been in a relationship where it's been like that, you know. But me approaching a woman, this is just me though. I don't carry that baggage over. I look at a woman, I see her as a woman, but beyond that, I want to get to know I want to get to know her for who she is as a person.
Exactly.
When I get to identifying her, I know she's a full-grown woman, but I want to know you, and that's what I'm going to be focused on. You know, I'm not going to tag on all this extra social stuff. I want to know you, and from that point, we can build. I already know that you're a woman. Let's leave it there. I just want to get to know you. And I think that is the hardest part. That's problematic with a lot of relationships now, because people can't get past the social narrative to these, like, just gender or how a relationship is supposed to play out, and really start to get down to the nitty gritty and getting to know that person for who they are and how they express themselves, and build from that point on. I don't care if the gender war is going on, etc. If a person approach it in that way, then things will come out differently from my perspective. But I could be wrong.
Nah, I agree with you actually, and you're absolutely right. And that goes back to what I say all the time about people actually taking the time to get to know the person that they're connecting with, because knowledge is key, communication is key. You have to, and if you aren't, let me say this, if you aren't in a position to where you can leave that quote unquote baggage where it is, then people do not need to bring other people in your circle. Do not bring someone else into your circle, because it's not like the baggage is going to go away once you connect with somebody else, because you're going to have your own set of issues with this new person.
Correct. And you know, that I totally agree with you. And I think that's like it all depends on that person. But I think that once we jump, like, there's a lot of jumping from relationships to relationships out of a variety of things, you know, loneliness and, you know, a lot of other things. But I think once we do that, like, let's just say you're in a relationship and it turns out to be a bad relationship, and, you know, it hurt big time. Some people hurry up to jump into another relationship to try to get over that pain that happened in the last relationship.
Yep.
But it turns to find out it never processed, and it's like it's like a cycle. They keep going over and over. It's just like you haven't identified or processed what that pain was in that last relationship, and you need to process that and move forward. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to date another person. Although you're in a variety of different relationships, you're not dating other people. You're still stuck in that one relationship, and you got to process that to move forward. But
that's right.
Thank you for allowing me to jump up here and express myself.
Oh, brother, I appreciate you coming up, and you had a wealth of knowledge in what you were saying. I appreciate you. You can come up any freaking time that you want. I followed you, so hopefully I get to listen to some of your topics and some of your talks as well. I appreciate you coming up. And to everybody that's listening right now, I appreciate you. Those that came up and spoke, I appreciate you tremendously. If there's anyone else that wants to hop up, now would be the time to do it. It's 11:11 where I am. It's getting kind of late. I still have other things to do, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. I think a lot of stuff was brought out that needed to be brought out. There were a lot of things that talked about a lot of different viewpoints that were had. I respect everybody's take on it. I think they're all valid. And this was just a little bit, just a little bit of a man's thoughts, what we deal with, what we go through, the way we think. I'll definitely be doing a session on a woman's thoughts, and I'll have a woman come up here. I can't speak too much on what a woman's thoughts are, but I will have some questions for the women that actually come up. We got the good doctor going to come up. He'll probably be the last one, I'm guessing, that I have come up tonight, but don't let that, cause you to not ask to come up. If you want to come up, okay, I have more. So I guess we are on internet right now. We got Dr. Robert Goodman going to come up, and then we have Matthew Burris going to come up after him. How you doing, good doctor? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've just been sitting here working on my book and listening, and it's really been a really great topic, and the viewpoints that is coming out, and one thing my father will always say, I am not interested in keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Excuse me for a minute. I left the setup in there. So I thought about that, when I was younger, but after he told me what he meant about it, I really took it to heart and started doing the same thing, because you can easily keep up with the Joneses and get into a lot of trouble.
Yep.
Just trying to keep up with what's going on. How they call it, the now generation, and who's helped and who's in the game and all that stuff. And he was right. And so be willing to speak up and tell someone how you feel, regardless of if it's male or female, and do that. My grandmother, she would say, after reading the Bible, now take it and walk your path with it.
Yep.
One day I asked her what part,